Good morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. You know, it's interesting because when we were, just sort of chatting at the beginning of the show yesterday, we still knew so little about the events that had transpired on the Key Bridge. And I said this last night on 105.7 The Fan. In hindsight, you don't want to say this because it's trite because 6 souls perished. But really now, 24 hours later, it's almost a miracle that it wasn't worse. Like, it's been unbelievable how what it could have been and what it ended up being. But it's difficult to talk about that because, obviously it's still an unfathomable tragedy. Great timing, by the way, from Drew Forrester this morning. Tremendous timing on this. I am blown away by obviously all of the heroism. I know it's incredibly sad that there were no more survivors pulled from the water yesterday, but I am blown away by the heroism of those involved in the search and rescue efforts. And, your hearts continue to be with those that were lost. But, yeah, honestly, as the day went on, the feelings of how much worse this could have been were incredibly strong with me. And that, in a way, yesterday was a minor miracle despite the terrible, tragic loss of the 6 people who perished. So we continue to have, conflicted emotions, and obviously the impact of the loss of the bridge will be felt by our community for a very, very long time. But just keep thinking about what it could have been, and the fact that it wasn't that is really amazing. So with that.
If it's 1:30 in the afternoon, 200 people die. Now, there's an argument that if it were 1:30 in the afternoon, the rescue would have been, 50 times easier because it wasn't pitch dark.
Right.
But it's unbelievable. It's not one vehicle, except obviously they think for the vehicles that those guys were driving to get up to the bridge to work. Those are the only vehicles that went in the water. There wasn't one. And if you look, there was a video last night that circulated. There were 5 cars who went across the bridge within 30 seconds of the thing. Not even 30 seconds. 10 seconds of the ship hitting the pillar, there were cars still going over the bridge that just went past the thing.
Correct. I had
if
that.
If those people stop at a stoplight on Bel Air Road, Drew, it's unbelievable.
I had the feeling of, whatever, because I don't know. I've never seen this on the Key Bridge before. I don't know what the distress warning is to get people to stop. I've never stopped going over across the Key Bridge, but I could see myself if I'm coming home late from work at 1:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden there's some sort of signal. You're like, I'm gonna push it. I don't feel like I don't want to deal with this.
I'm not waiting.
I'm not. I just want to get home. And I could sense that feeling of that last car going across.
Amazing.
Yes, that emotion was strong with me as the day unfolded yesterday. Yet this is terrible. This is terrible. But my God, what it could have been.
A friend of mine sent me a text who doesn't know where I live. Knows obviously I live in Baltimore. Has never been to my house, or said to me, "Hey, how far away are you from that bridge?"
Right.
I'm like, up 6 miles.
Yeah.
Like
all right, where you are now.
6
Yeah,
miles.
I didn't even think about that. Right.
How many times you gone over that? Ethan said yesterday, Dad, how many times have you driven over the Francis Scott Key Bridge? A couple? I'm like, a couple? 500.
Right.
500 times.
No,
easily.
I get it.
I mean, it used to be the path that I would take from Glen Burnie anytime I wanted to go north, and I didn't want to fart around with the tunnel. I would just go across the Key Bridge because Glen Burnie, Route 10, connected to it. I've driven across. I have done a lot of things at Fort Armistead Park. I've had a lot. Had a lot of.
How many can we talk about?
Right?
Well,
now I'm okay.
Yeah. Oh, you think the statute of limitations will come up?
Drank a lot of beer when I wasn't allowed to at Fort
a lot
Armistead
of
Park.
Soda.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
No, it's unbelievable.
Crazy.
All right.
Let's talk some sports.
Yeah.
There was a full crowd scene at the food line. That's why I'm late.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. Well, I see you got your Royal Farms this morning. Which
that's all that matters.
That's all that is. That's the only. We have video now. Here, So I don't know why you took it out of the Royal Farms wrapper and put it in another wrapper. That I thought was
I had that
weird.
in my car.
Oh, you had that in your car. Okay, that does.
I didn't want to make a mess in here.
That does make sense. Well, thank you. That's
actually,
nice of you.
I didn't have enough time to even stop at this place.
Come to your house and chew gum. That's the way that it works. Drew enjoying his Royal Farms this morning.
How's your pool doing? Your bracket?
I'm in 7th place, apparently.
Oh,
I
are
thought
you?
it was much worse than
I haven't
that.
even looked.
But I have a 0.3% chance of winning.
Yeah, so you're done.
Not great. I need NC State to win.
You need them in the Elite Eight, right?
I need them in the Elite Eight. That's my only, like...
That gives you the best chance.
Yeah.
That could happen. Who are they playing? Aren't they playing Marquette or somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could it happen? Sure. I just don't... I have no idea. I have no idea why
They're
I was
on a
riding
wild
so
ride,
hard with...
man.
It's
This
one
is-
of the craziest
This
stories.
is the way the tournament works. I mean,
Listen to him trying to talk about sports.
no. I mean, this is
Listen to him.
who are the
Break down. Name 2 players.
give
Name
me the,
any other player. Name 2 players on the NC State roster.
I have no chance of naming 2 players. Chris Washburn.
I don't
No,
think
give me the matchup. Give me the game matchups real quick.
like you know anything. Why are we
Marquette,
doing
NC
this?
State.
What?
Yeah, Marquette, NC State.
I believe Maryland, Florida State is a matchup in the Sweet 16.
I showed a friend of mine that the other day. He was laughing
It's the
so
greatest
hard.
clip in the history of humanity. We're not going to do
Now
the
they
bit
do.
where you're going to break down the games and you don't know anything about the teams. We're not doing that.
I've been watching though this week.
I believe that you've been watching, but
think
you
NC
don't know
State-
anything about the teams.
It doesn't. You don't have to know anything about the teams.
Houston, Duke.
You don't know anything about the teams either.
I don't. That's why I'm not breaking down the games.
That's your fault. All right, who? Duke who?
Houston.
God.
Houston, Duke.
I'm going to go with Houston there.
What are you
All right,
doing?
Good pick.
What are we? What? Why?
Purdue, Gonzaga.
Now,
Already
this is
played
a
this
hell
year.
of a game here.
They already played this year.
How about them just ponying up money to get that kid from Pepperdine?
I can't with you.
They already played this year.
Can't.
They did.
I can't.
I got a weird feeling this is
Just stop.
Gonzaga. I'll take Gonzaga here.
All right.
The Orioles season begins tomorrow. We know something about them. Let's talk about them, okay? Like
They're not playing
instead
tomorrow.
of well, I don't know if they're playing tomorrow.
Now
or
they're going to
not.
play.
I can't figure it out.
They're going to play.
So I keep looking, and like it shows perhaps the rain is going to wrap around 3 o'clock tomorrow, but it still looks unpleasant. I think that last year, I really think that what happened last year is messing with them.
This is why you always play on the road to start a season. Never rains when you come home for your first game. They should do.
They started on the road
Yeah,
last
that-
year,
yeah,
and it
that's what
rained on
happened last
Thursday, or
year.
it was
Oh,
going to
well,
rain.
then
They moved the game back to Friday last
Okay, well
year.
then that
Yeah.
ruins that then.
We've got nothing to offer.
Where'd we open?
How about we talk about the team? How about we attempt to have
I got
relevant
nothing there since they benched
conversation?
Holiday.
You're okay. I saw what you wrote. You're not that worked up about it. Wow.
Not at all.
Good.
What the hell happened there? I'm not worked up about it at all.
Good God.
You are though.
I'm worked up.
And you don't
is
get
the-
worked up much.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
You're
worked
the,
up.
You've created this brand where nothing bothers you.
Well, I mean, that's who I am, right? Like this is
Nothing
sports.
bothers
It-
me.
It doesn't matter that. None of it matters that much. If it is affecting your
Bite your
life,
tongue. The Caps
you
won last
need
night.
help. Good for them. God bless. I'm worked up, but to the extent that I'm capable of getting worked up about it, because I just think it's the wrong thing to do. For many reasons, I think it's the wrong thing to do, and I think it's added to. We didn't talk about it on yesterday's show. What adds to that is no one in the world needs to see Tony Kemp play baseball. No one.
I would agree with that.
Like, this is, if you're telling me that the option is Jackson Holliday is going to be here and struggle a little bit, or you're going to have to watch Tony Kemp for a little while, you have your answer. You've got your answer. This isn't good
Totally
enough.
agree with that.
Like, you can say anything you want to say about this is how we think it's supposed to work with players, and we want them to play. You say whatever you want to say. If the alternative is anything that involves Tony Kemp, you've got your answer. The
Which of the
alternative isn't
excuses-
good enough to justify this.
Which of the excuses do you believe? The left-handed pitching excuse or the defensive
I've-
excuse?
Boy,
Because I do have an opinion on that. And it's the old man in me. But, I mean, I think the defense matters. And I know there's probably some metric nerd somewhere. Defense doesn't matter at all. I think the defense matters. And I think Adam Frazier was a proof positive of that last year. This kid, you don't have to. If Jackson Holliday is struggling against left-handed pitchers, you can do what the White Sox do with Gavin Sheets when there's a left-handed pitcher. They don't play him.
Right.
Now, the juxtaposition there is how are you going to get any better
Correct.
if you don't
you're not
face left-handed
playing.
pitching?
Correct.
So,
But I
So,
struggle
no,
with
but-
that.
but when you
Jackson
play-
Holliday hit 296 against lefties
okay,
last
but-
year. Like, I get it. Not major league lefties. I
Right.
understand that.
but when you are playing in the major leagues and you're playing in the infield, the ball's getting hit to you,
I
no
get
matter
that.
who's pitching.
Right.
So if there was, I don't buy the left-handed, and I guess that's my point. I don't buy the left-handed argument. If this kid is going to be the next Francisco Lindor, as everyone says he is, then he's going to have to hit left-handed pitching. And it's not like he hit a $141. Sure, he didn't face major league left-handed pitching. Okay, fair enough. You know why he didn't face major league left-handed pitching? He wasn't in the majors. I do think the defense matters. I will say that.
So-
and if in their opinion, because it's certainly not something I can adjudicate, if they think that his defensive skills need work, then I get that.
So my issue with that being the argument is that, again, like on top of not being a hitter, Tony Kemp's not a good defensive player either. Like, this is my issue.
So you just don't like Tony Kemp.
Well, I definitely don't like Tony Kemp.
What do you
Now,
have-
again,
what
I
do you-
didn't.
What do you have against
I
him?
certainly
What did he
wouldn't
do?
in fairness, as I said yesterday, I didn't like Ryan O'Hearn when they signed Ryan O'Hearn. So
How'd that work
it's
out for you?
totally plausible.
Yeah, it's probable.
That I don't know if I go probable. I'm not ready to go. Ryan O'Hearn was at a different place in his career. We've got enough. There is a lot built up with Tony Kemp.
You
That
just
is
can't say it, can you?
What? Well, I was wrong about Ryan O'Hearn. I sure as hell was. There's no doubt I was wrong
wasn't.
about Ryan O'Hearn. Oh, yeah? You were all in? Sure, Forrester
Go back.
he sees
back
that,
and look.
He sees that text. He's like, now everything's changing.
Go back. Look.
Today's
Go
the
back
day.
And, go back and look.
Today's the
When
day.
you badmouth Ryan O'Hearn,
Things
I said this
change.
guy's a dog,
Yeah.
and I mean a dog. D-A.
I don't remember that.
D-A-W-G.
That's really weird. Hang on, I got to tell everybody
What
that
happened
today
to his mustache?
gave up on
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
Got some other things we got to work on. Today's show is brought to you by Atman's. The new Atman's is open in Harbor Point. It's outstanding. It's everything you love about Atman's. Plus, a full-service bar now inside the new Atman's in Harbor Point. So all the delicious food, the hand-rolled bagels, the corned beef piled high, the delicious soups, and a bar to hang out to watch the games. AtmansDeli.com is the website for you to find out about daily specials at the new Atman's in Harbor Point.
Today, by the way, is like the quintessential soup day.
It is, very much so. You look outside, you say, I could go. I could really go.
I love soup so much.
I have a problem where I go anywhere that I don't think I've tried their cream of crab before. I have to try their cream
Well,
of crab.
okay. I'm not I mean, you know this, right? I'm not a seafood guy, but I love a good chicken noodle.
I also have to ask what everybody's soup of the day is everywhere I go.
Yeah,
What-
just
I
to
ne-
know.
I need to know
Right.
because if somebody tells me something like it's a poblano corn, I'm like, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Go
Right.
right ahead.
They have they've had, I don't know that they still have it. They had, and it's an acquired taste a little bit, but they had this butternut squash soup at Eagle's Nest that was like heroin. It was so, I mean, Anthony Kiedis would have been in there snorting it. It was so
okay.
good.
All right, well that's
It
good.
was insane
That's good.
how good it was.
I would love to try it.
And butternut squash,
They,
you're
they don't allow me in an Eagle's Nest.
Yeah, all right.
Like I walk.
Oh, don't
I
worry.
walk over.
I made sure of that. Well, you're on the list at the door,
Although I am a member at a different country club.
which is even more bizarre.
It's where I'll be on Easter morning. Is at the country club. so
And I won't be. That's the funny
that
part.
is
Like,
that is.
I'm not at the
strange-
club, but you
I'll,
are.
I'll be at the club on Easter morning.
I love it.
They see me there. They're like, "You?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm a member.
I have
don't
no
know."
idea. Hey, not only that, if they go you go me.
Yeah.
Do me a
yeah,
favor.
correct.
Grab me a fork.
Go look at.
Grab me a
It's the
fork.
weirdest thing.
Grab me a fork and put some more creamer in my coffee.
It's so freaking weird.
I love it.
And then I look at some of the people. I'm like, I know you make more money than I do.
Oh,
like,
right.
I know that you're more.
What, you mean the
accomplished.
waiters?
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean.
Fact. I know you do.
Right.
Anyway, sorry. But the Jackson Holliday prize, none of these hold weight to me to justify.
Well, he's going to be up.
I know that.
We should start that pool.
Of what day? You want me to do
Yeah.
a meter?
Yeah, when's he going to be up? And we'll give a winner or two tickets to a game or something.
I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
Oh, hell. We're going to do that again?
True.
Remember the one year?
What?
I gave away my own Oriole opening day
yeah.
tickets, and they
Yeah.
filed a cease and
That's
desist
right.
against me
That's a
because
fact.
I gave away my own
Yep,
tickets.
you're not allowed to do that, man. You're
No, I
not
did
allowed
it.
to do this stuff.
That was the beginning of the. I mean, there
Yeah.
was
I think
there was
some
another
other thing. I think there was some other thing.
There was another thing that happened that
No.
actually started it.
Yeah. Well,
But my own personal, fracas with them,
we were sitting in the splash zone, huh?
my own personal fracas with them started with that. It started.
Not allowed to
That
do
was
that.
the day, and I remember the game.
That's
It
why.
was the game when no one was in the left field corner. No one was in the upper deck. They called it a sellout. They played Tampa Bay. Look this up, Oates.
Yeah.
They played Tampa Bay. They lost 6-2. I want to say it was 2008. Does that sound right? They lost at home to Tampa Bay 6-2. And they had about 33,000 people in the stadium.
Yeah, they did lose 6-2 on March 31st, 2008.
Why you would remember that?
I just because I
Why?
remember stuff like that. It's like you remember breakups and strife. I remember it. They lost 6-2. What they announced as a crowd that day?
I will have that for you in 2 seconds.
They might have announced the real crowd, or they might have announced 37-8.
It's a nice, quick 2.5-hour game.
Yeah, it was 2.5 hours. It was when we were
46,800. So
there was zero chance that there were 46. So they announced the sellout. There were 33,000 people there. The entire the entire 3 sections of the upper deck closest to where it ends were all empty. They were insane. But anyway, and I gave my opening day tickets away. I had a plan. I had a
Not allowed to do that.
I gave my tickets away, and I got a letter, or I got an email, you're not allowed to do that. I'm like, you can blow that straight out of your rear end.
You are definitely not allowed to do that.
And I gave them away.
That's
and
why
that started it.
That's why I've got to remind everybody that when Griffin and I are at Sports and Social tomorrow night for hanging out for the round of 16, we'll have baseball tickets to give away. What kind of baseball tickets?
I mean, it could be
Who knows?
Braves Reds.
Could be anything.
Right.
Just some baseball tickets that we'll be giving away tomorrow night at Sports. It could be anything at all, but, use your imagination. Come hang out, watch the game with us, and you could win a pair of baseball tickets.
And here was the bizarre thing about that. Obviously, there was...
By the way, Sports and Social is the best place to watch all the games. It's awesome. Yes. Come join us tomorrow night. We'll be there after the baseball game. As long as they play the baseball game, we'll be there tomorrow night.
Obviously, there was that little event we had a couple years before.
I don't understand.
But even then, in 2008, when the team was horrendous, hadn't even brought Buck in yet. This was it. What was their record that year? Would they win that year?
In 2008, 68 games.
I don't know how, but this was right in the throes of. Was that the Tremblay, Perlazzo, Samuel, Samuel? Right at the end of that run, because Buck was 10, right?
Yes.
Summer
correct.
of 10.
Correct. Summer of 10. Yes.
So who managed?
Dave Tremblay's. Yeah.
This was right at the height
all year
of the. This was right at the height of the embarrassment every single night, where Tremblay the one night on live TV said, "Yeah, I got to be honest with you guys. This is tough up here.
Yep.
This is about as unprofessional as it gets."
Yep.
And you got Melvin Moore's kids playing hopscotch in the background, screaming and yelling. And yet, now part of people's argument might be, well, that was your job. And I don't disagree with that. But even then, in 2008, 2009, I was still talking about the team every day.
Yeah.
I wanted the team to – I would say this all the time on the air. What do you think? I want the team to stink like this? This is terrible. It's no fun. And I still bought tickets. Even though we had the issue with them and we had the game and the walkout and blah, blah, blah. No, I certainly never. I think other people at the station did, and if they did, that's on them. I never gave up on them. Never gave up on the Orioles.
Yeah, and I don't know that.
I know it was a complicated time.
I would say,
but I never gave up on them.
What do you mean by give up? That's the important, because
I never ever got to the point where I said,
I don't know how we got here. By the way, this is
I don't either, but it's better than talking about Corbin Burns.
Why? I think people are very excited about Corbin Burns.
I never got to the point where I wanted them to fail, We had people
Oh,
at the
okay,
station that wanted them
that's
to fail.
that's a different
I never
conversation.
got to that point.
Yeah. That's
I don't think you ever got to that point.
No.
I think that we certainly weren't afraid to give our opinion, and our opinion wasn't very favorable. And the reason that our opinion wasn't very favorable is the team was terrible.
The team was awful, right?
But I never wanted them to lose.
No, never wanted them to lose. Not at all. Insanely did not want them to lose. Desperately did not.
And so
want
when I
them
say
to
I never
lose.
gave up on them, maybe that was just the wrong way to phrase it.
Because I definitely gave up. Like I definitely remember times where I would say to you, "We're talking too much Orioles. Like this is not justified. No one cares."
Yeah, but there was nothing else in town to talk about.
We would have been better. That's why I tried telling. We would have been better served just talking about the NFL draft every day. Like there were times that no one in the city was connecting. People weren't watching.
But I also think we did, and I know it's not everyone there, so I don't want to go down that road. But I do think that we also had a little bit of an altruistic view about it. I know I did, and it was different for me because I was and I still am, I was way older than you, and I had seen them in their glory, and you sort of kind of did, but you were a kid when they were good in the 90s.
Yeah.
You were a fanboy. No, but
I'd like to think I still am.
No, right, but you were a kid who was glossed over about Palmeiro and Alomar and Scott Erickson, and your Margaret was glossed over about him.
Brady Anderson.
Right, but it hurt me to see them be that bad because I had been there and done that and seen them and gone to games with my mom and dad, and then to see them just erode like that, it was awful. So I think we also had somewhat of a view that we can help fix them, and I know now as I look at it, like I see that and I go, okay, well, we weren't going to fix them. We thought we could help fix them by putting some external pressure on them, but in the end, they I don't know. I don't even know how they got fixed.
Well, this is.
I don't know what
I
happened.
Think I'm going to try to.
Buck
tie
happened a little bit,
right?
Right?
Well, definitely, Buck happened.
Buck happened.
And,
so
and
to give Peter
Dan Duquette,
but
so
to give Peter credit, and I know I wrote this last week.
Yeah,
he was a complicated figure, but I think we all do this, right? To jump ahead, this is one of the things wrong with the country. We always tend to pile on with the negative, and then when we do that, we're very, very hesitant to give credit, because if we give credit, we've lost our take. Peter did a lot of good things.
Yeah,
Peter just did a lot of things that weren't good.
So it is a very complicated. It's funny because
he's probably the most complicated guy in the history of Baltimore sports.
I talked about this last night on the radio. I said I'm very concerned about what's going to happen on Thursday, or if it ends up being Friday, when they do whatever moment they're going to do for Peter Angelos. That there isn't. I don't think it's going to be overwhelming, but there aren't a pocket of drunk Orioles fans.
Well, they better not boo.
That attempt to make some sort of
Right.
noise like that, and I'm concerned.
Or cheer. I mean, what do you do?
Like you do nothing. You
Right.
say you stay silent.
right.
Is exactly what you do.
Right.
But the other thing that I would say, and it's not even what you. I thought what you wrote was mostly. I think we've gone a little bit too far in being afraid to say he was a bad baseball owner because he passed away. I think
He was a bad baseball owner.
He was a very bad baseball owner.
I don't think there's any question about that.
To your point, and this is why every time this conversation came up, when somebody would lump Peter Angelos into this Dan Snyder conversation, I would say, you're way out of line here. Peter Angelos was a bad baseball owner. Dan Snyder was a vile human, or is a vile human. They are not.
And you're talking about the inner office stuff,
correct?
That's come out.
The stories,
the calendars,
yes,
the cute girls that get hired over the heavy set girl with a better resume.
Vile things that Dan Snyder is alleged to have done.
Peter never.
Dan Snyder,
had that.
A vile human. Peter Angelos, a bad baseball owner. Those are two very. Dan Snyder was a vile human and a bad football owner. Peter Angelos, just a bad baseball owner. Those two things, I always said, the way that people were celebrating.
So I would split hairs on that, and I would say he wasn't a great baseball owner. So you're giving him a C-. I'm giving him a C+.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Like, there's the difference.
I wouldn't even give him a C-.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. Let me go back. I'll make the numbers up.
Okay.
I'm giving him a C-. You're giving him a D+.
At best, yeah.
But there's the synergy, the difference. I don't think he was a great baseball owner. I don't know that he was a bad baseball owner. I think he did a lot of things. Again, when you balance them out, he did a lot of things for the good of what he thought was for the good of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that we do know was for sure was personal. That he did not want to see Cal's streak get disrupted for any reason at all. And he knew if
but I also think he sided with labor too. Like I think it was both things.
He did side with labor.
Yeah.
He sided with labor because that's in his DNA.
Correct.
To do that.
Correct.
Right? And it's I'm not making this political. It's the same way that but you could be a ardent Joe Biden supporter and Donald Trump could say one thing that's actually smart. I know. I know. He could say one thing that's smart, and you can't side with him on that point because to do that, you'd be your DNA would be getting impacted there, and that was kind of the way Peter was. Whether or not Peter believed to the hilt all the things he said, he knew if he went in favor of the owners. He knew if he went against the players, he's going against what he believes in his heart. And he was always a guy that represented people that needed representation, right? I hope I'm with you. I hope there isn't something tomorrow that embarrasses us.
Correct.
As not
Much
as
like
a
the
city,
Chicago Bulls
not
thing.
as a city,
Yep.
as human beings. As human beings, not as a city. We all know there's no one, even the people that we meaning you, me, and even the people we deeply respect in this town who have helped carve the journalism world here. Stan Charles, Jim Henneman, John Eisenberg, guys that have been here and have rooted themselves here. None of those guys would ever tell you Peter was a great baseball owner. They just wouldn't.
If you talk to, they might attempt to say it in certain circumstances,
but
yes,
they would never say that.
legitimately, right.
Right. They know the truth.
Yep.
But what we all know also is there were a lot of things that he did for the city
Correct.
that were incredibly beneficial.
Correct.
And some of those / most of those we never knew about. And we were all and I did this out of respect for Ted Patterson, we were all forbidden from telling everyone that he paid for Ted Patterson's wife's funeral because that looked like media favoritism.
100%.
That Ted would go on WPOC every morning and say, I know the O's lost 11-3 last night, but I tell you,
Freddie Bynum looks like he's going to be a guy.
That's what everyone would have assumed. That Ted would have gone on the air and said that because Peter gave him $15,000 for his wife's funeral. So we didn't say it. So when Ted told me that story and said, Drew, please don't tell anybody about this, I didn't. Now, now it got out years later, and so no big deal. Peter did a lot of that no one knew about. And I know what you're going to say, not you. I know what people are going to say. $15,000 to Peter's like $1.50 to you and I. Maybe.
But it still
but
matters.
It's $15,000.
It still matters, yes.
Right.
And it wasn't just that. There are lots of stories. There are lots.
He and his wife's name are on buildings all over town like the Weinbergs are. So I'm with you. I hope, and I tried to capture it last week in a way that I think I painted it as accurately certainly as I could paint it. He was not. He is a very complicated guy, and his legacy in Baltimore is very checkered because no one would have known him if not for that. Now his name was still a name in town, but I'll use Paterakis as an example.
Yeah.
We all know who John Paterakis is, right? We all know that. We know the family. But John Paterakis' name is nowhere near.
Well, no one would recognize him,
right?
If he was walking down the street.
Correct. Right. Peter made himself into Peter Angelos because of the baseball team, and so therein lies the challenge, right? Peter, you wanted this. You wanted to own the team. You're in the public eye, whether or not you want to be in the public eye or not. I mean, it just is what it is. At this point, you're in. When you own Steve Bisciotti, for better or worse, Jimmy Davis has way more money than Steve. Jimmy Davis and Steve started the business. Jimmy Davis is the president of Pine Valley. He's the eminent one-day president at Augusta National. Jimmy Davis is when they go out to dinner, Jimmy pays the bill.
Okay.
But no one knows Jimmy Davis.
Mm-hmm. He's managed to stay.
He's the trade point guy.
Right.
He owns
No
part
one
of the
outside
Cardinals.
of that
but
community.
no one
Right.
knows him
Right.
in
Correct.
town. If Jimmy Davis walked through Towson
No
Town Mall
one would
today,
know. Right.
other than anyone like me who, know, I don't know if I know him as his son played golf for McDonough, but no one would know him. Everyone would know Steve because he owned a football team, owns it. So Peter, again, I'm not saying this in a condescending way. Peter brought all of this scrutiny on himself, and from a baseball standpoint, it didn't go nearly as favorably as I think anyone thought it would go. Certainly not him, and certainly not after the way it started, because it was a 7-year. Maybe not 7, but it was a 5-year.
Yeah, 5 year. Right,
it was a
correct.
5-year period there.
But even within those 5 years,
Davy Johnson,
correct. John
all
Miller,
kinds of stuff,
like all
right?
the stuff that you, and
Right.
that's why when you say like,
Totally agree.
when you started this by saying, well, I think he did things that he believed were and that was part of. I believe that he did things that he thought were for some sort of greater good, but they weren't. He was wrong. He
Right.
was wrong.
I think the one story that will always. The one story that will always haunt him that matters, because the John Miller story, people in town think it matters, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter at all. The Davy Johnson story is the one thing that I think over time, people always say Dave resigned. Dave resigned.
Well, no, we know that's not
Dave
true.
Johnson didn't
but
resign.
I think you are too dismissive of the John Miller thing. I think you are. Like I
don't think the John Miller story mattered at all as it relates to the baseball franchise. I think it mattered as a way to showcase Peter's ability to make irrational decisions.
I think that's part of it, but I also think it was the fabric of the community was now being like our relationship with baseball, bro. I would still say we saw what happened last year with Kevin Brown, and this is in 2023.
Right.
Our relationship with baseball. I mean this with all due respect.
Yeah,
Jerry Sandusky's a great guy. No one gives a rat's ass who calls the football games. No one.
Yeah,
there's no one in
There is
town
something about
that
the baseball
cares
games.
who the broadcaster is. Drew Griffin could be the play-by-play guy next year, and no one would even notice.
Right.
Like at some point, somebody would say, like, "It doesn't sound like Jerry."
Right.
Like, no one cares.
Right.
But there is a relationship between baseball broadcasters and a community that is unlike anything in sports.
Because it isn't anymore per se, but it still is. It was largely a sport that you followed on the radio.
Sure.
And the voice is what the voice and the way the play was described is how you saw the game. Football was a little bit of a radio sport in the 50s and 60s, but since the 70s and 80s, every game's been on TV.
Correct.
And there's only 16 of them, 17
Correct.
of them now, 18 next year.
These are the people you spend your summers
Well,
with.
correct.
They are like part of
They
your
travel with you.
family.
Right.
And
So I
not
would agree
all
with that.
of them register in the same way, to be fair. And I don't mean this, again, it's going to sound disrespectful. I love Jeff Arnold. I love Brett Hollander, but some baseball broadcasters connect with a community in a way that they become part of the fabric of the community. And to Kevin Brown's credit, he's done that. Kevin Brown has created that relationship. In
Agree.
Baltimore.
And for whatever weird reason, and I don't want to get into a personal thing on each one of them, but for whatever reason, the Orioles have 6 broadcasters who aren't any good and 3 that are. They have too many people.
There is a problem with that at the moment. I don't disagree with that.
They have too many people.
I don't.
So it is hard to follow along.
There's a little
who's
bit
doing
of that,
the games,
but
who's not doing the games.
One of them has stood out.
Two. Jim Palmer, too.
Well, but it's a different thing. I'm not going to compare it. And
No,
Ben has done an amazing job, but to me, it's the
But if they got rid of Palmer, there'd be an outcry. If they got rid of Ben McDonald, I don't think.
I think there would be much more. I don't think you're giving that enough. If they got rid of Ben McDonald, the city would melt.
Really?
People love Ben McDonald in this town. Love him.
Not
Not like Jim Palmer. I'm not
Right.
saying it's that because Jim Palmer's Jim Palmer. Nothing can compare to that. But the city is in love with Ben McDonald right now.
I think he does a great job. by the way.
But as far as broadcasters go, there are very few. Even Joe Angel was very popular in town. Fred Manfred was very popular.
very much
But
so.
they didn't register like John Miller registered.
The team was awful, and Angel and Manfred's
had a lot to do with it. John Miller registered in a way with this city that is Chuck Thompson-esque, that so few have.
Right.
And again, I'm giving Kevin Brown a lot of credit by saying I think he's trending in that direction.
Right.
That moment.
He got suspended last year. You know that, right?
Thank you. That
well, actually, he took a vacation.
That's right. No, nothing.
No.
There's no. We love Kev. What do we love him.
Right.
That moment almost became irreparable. I would say even with the community, dude, you fired John Miller, like John Miller, and attempted to defend it and thought people would be on your side. Like you thought that you could say, don't you want your guys to bleed? Like, are you out of your mind? Like, you are completely disconnected from what we want. You have no clue what this fan base is looking for. It's hopeless.
Are you at all worried? I'm going to change gears on one thing because I wanted to ask you this. No, because this ties right into what we're talking about. Are you at all worried? And it's a very small sample size. It's a month of sample size. Are you worried that the future new owner of the team is too much social media, rah-rah?
No.
Are you worried about that at all?
Because that's not him. You know what I mean? Like, that's somebody running.
I don't think so.
Oh, no. He's absolutely not running his own Twitter account.
I don't think that's accurate.
No. I can tell you from conversations that he is not. That's not him. Now, he understands the value of it, and he gets it, and he wants to be involved because that's the way the world works now. But he's not sitting out there sending out, he's not going to be tweeting during the game.
I'd bet you a Chinese lunch you're wrong on that.
Okay. You got it.
I would bet you a Chinese lunch he authors it.
What do you mean by that he approves it? I believe he's involved in the process of that. I'm telling you, I know that someone works with him on what goes out on Twitter. I know that as a fact. That it is not just him on his phone doing what he wants to do.
It's worked out well for the other guy.
That's a great point. Great point.
There is something to be said about powerful figures having their access to their own Twitter account.
No is my answer. I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
I'm not worried about that. No, I still need to know. This is the thing. Today is the day, right? Like it's gonna get approved today, and he'll be the owner in time for tomorrow. We still need to hear from him answering questions. I know he did this forum this week, and apparently was asked about mass. We need to hear him describe what the plan is here. And he doesn't need to come out and say, hey, next year I intend for the payroll to be double what it is. It doesn't need to be that. But we need to get a sense of, we all felt the Corbin Burns acquisition was a David Rubenstein-esque thing. But then it was followed up with nothing else. There was no additional attempt to fortify this team, to even bring in a veteran reliever. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm starting to believe more what Mike Elias said, which was this was always in the pipeline. It just so happened to be. We had to tell him because he's about to own the team that there were going to be $15 million more on the payroll this year. But this wasn't an edict from David Rubenstein. Go get a better pitcher. Go try harder to win this year. I'm definitely starting to believe that this really was just coincidental that it was announced around the time that David Rubenstein was reported to be the next owner.
Right.
What I would say is that I think we need to this season to me is fascinating, not just because we think the team's good, but because there's the giant subplot. The giant subplot is...
Well, they're winning the World Series.
I don't know that.
You do.
I really hope.
You know why.
Why?
You know why. I mean, because of all these things that have happened in the last month. They're winning the World Series.
You think that's what...
Sure.
Okay.
The Ravens should have won the Super Bowl.
Peter couldn't. No, I'm saying Peter. This is the way the sports gods are. Peter couldn't win one.
Right.
And
new ownership. Okay.
100%. It's the bet of the year.
Didn't Art Modell die right before the Ravens won their last Super Bowl?
It's the bet of the year.
So I'm not going to jump. I would love it. I'm not ready to go there with you.
You need Peter patches, you think?
They're going to do something. I don't know what it'll be.
For sure.
They'll do something.
Everybody's on an uproar about something they put out on the wall. You hear this morning?
I don't know anything about that.
They put something on the wall about either winning the division or having the best record in baseball. And I heard a bunch of people
What?
getting all
The
aggravated.
dugout has like I think like a division
Well, but
championship
everybody,
thing on it.
that's we've always put
yeah.
up.
Well,
like,
there's always been
banners
like a
for-
flag, but this is on. This is. I thought I heard this is on the outfield wall.
on the. Okay, I mean, I don't know.
I
don't
mean,
know
who
if that-
cares?
yeah, I don't know.
We
that-
won.
Right.
What
why
are
would
we-
that-
We're not allowed to celebrate that.
Well, everybody makes fun, of course, of the Colts for having that AFC finalist banner, but that's a uniquely stupid banner.
Maryland has a banner up that says they won the Big
Well,
Ten
they
championship.
did.
No, they
They
didn't.
did. They did.
No, they did not.
Other teams won too, but they were one of them. They did win.
You're right, and that made them what?
They were champions.
They were what?
They were champions.
No, you missed
They
the
were
word.
champ-
You missed the word
they did
with
win.
a hyphen.
They did. They were every one of those teams. All of them that have hang a banner. They're all right.
No, they're not. No, they
all
are not
won.
right.
They all won.
That's what's wrong with this country.
That's what's wrong with
That
this
is part of
country.
what's wrong with this country. Is you just don't want to admit it. You screwed the banner up.
If they had said, like they were.
By the way, the over-under on topics we would hit today was 19 and a half.
I don't know what we're doing.
We're at 14
I
and a
have
half.
no
We're
idea.
at 14 right now.
I have no idea.
That
what's
counts as a
happening
topic.
here. This is what happens when we had a killer week with guests last week. This week we have just gotten our asses kicked. I don't know
good.
what's going on. Like last week, everybody came through. Everybody was happy to chat last week. This week, everybody's like, I don't know.
I'm good.
I don't know.
I heard your show.
Yeah, right.
I'm good. Well, we're
And
at
so
14 topics right now.
Are we?
We got 5 to go before I leave.
All right. When we come back in, we're gonna do what's wrong with this country, and then.
Well, I want to ask you about the pitcher, baseball pitcher.
what pitcher?
Well,
Jordan
he's not a
Montgomery?
pitcher. He's
What?
actually.
Oh,
he's not-
Shohei.
You think you gambled on baseball? You think the dude? Let me rephrase that. What do you make of the story?
I think it's really hard to not be. This is the problem with this conversation, right? I have absolutely nothing to say that he did, right? I don't know anything. I just think that every layer of what's been out there has been so wishy-washy that it's hard to not be skeptical of it. But and this really is
Now, the dude with the Raptors is definitely guilty.
that guy's going to be banned from basketball
100%.
before the week is over.
He's
he will be
guilty.
banned from
Right.
the NBA.
Right.
And
I'm glad we agree on that.
and they have to. And you know what? It's not going to be what I do for this. That's what's wrong with this country. I am also sick of the Twitter snark. This is what happens when it's baseball presented by FanDuel, and now you're surprised. No, Chief. No.
Yeah, these are people that know what they're saying.
They know exactly
Right,
what.
no doubt.
Get the entire F out of
Right,
here with
no
that.
doubt.
You think you're making some grand point? You're the doofus. We all understand. In the same way that I am told you can't give away tickets on the air. You can't do that. When someone tells me that, I say, I get it. I understand. Now you, Dave, walking down the street today, could go hand somebody your ticket. You can give it away to whoever you want to give it away to. But I am told on the air, I
was
can't.
just going to say, you can give your tickets away.
Right, not on the air.
You just can't promote it on the
I
air.
can't do it on the air. And by the way, I'm going to give some baseball tickets away at Sports and Social. But I can't say that. That's the rules. I can't say, whenever we do a commercial, I can't say NCAA tournament. I can't, and I know that. I'm told that. Odyssey, Drew wouldn't know because he hasn't checked his email in 7 years. But they send me emails constantly about what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not
I read
allowed
those.
to say. Do you?
I mean, I don't pay attention to them, but I
We
read
can't. The thing that Michael Buffer likes to say before fights.
them. Yeah, I can't say that.
We can't say that. You can. We understand that people in different lines of work have different responsibilities and things they're allowed to do and not allowed to do. So stop with the nonsense. Oh, this is rich. Baseball can take money from FanDuel, but now, we're all up in arms. That's the way it works. Do whatever you want to do. Bet on golf every day. Lose millions betting on golf. But you can't bet on baseball. It's not hard. It's just not
So do you
hard.
think the interpreter? You think? Look, let's say this. Let's piece it together. Ohtani wasn't betting, right? Like, are we? You think that he might have been betting?
It's tough, man.
You think he might have been betting?
Do I think it's possible? I think it's absolutely possible.
Really?
I think it's absolutely
okay.
possible.
I did not. I don't buy that at all.
I think it's given how much the story has changed.
Wow.
That part of it is the part that you can't shake. Like if
Wow.
everything was on
Okay.
the up and up, then the
So let's set it up as it is right now. The
Like
story,
there
the
was a
current
story yesterday
story.
in the LA Times. He still hasn't reported anything to the authorities. He's claiming that he had this amount of money stolen from him. Nothing's been reported to an authority.
Right. So the current story
Yeah.
is that this is the current story.
Yes.
That his interpreter ran up a $4.5 million gambling debt, somehow removed the money out of Ohtani's account without Ohtani's knowledge, paid off the debt, and Ohtani didn't find out about it until they were in Japan for the games, or
South Korea.
Until they were there for the games. Then he found out and was, apoplectic about it, right? Can't believe this happened. That's the current story. That he didn't know it was going on, that he never knew the guy gambled at all, that he did not know about the $4.5 million getting siphoned out of his account. That's his side of the story. That specific story, I find that very hard to believe. I find that story very difficult to believe. Do I think that his interpreter might have had a gambling problem that Ohtani knew about, but wasn't impacted by until his guy came to him and said, dude, I'm in trouble. I've run up a huge bill. They know who I am, and they're coming for you. Do I think that's a possibility? 1,000,000%. I think there's a very strong possibility this guy ran up that gambling debt, and they were chasing him, and then the guy reported to Ohtani and said, hey, I got bad news.
Right.
You're in the middle of this cyclone. I don't want you to be, but they're coming for you. And Ohtani said, just give him the $4.5 million. You take it. Or even different than that, this is the one thing that I would say, I don't have a whole lot of experience in big-time underground gambling. Here's the other thing I would say, that he owed more than $4.5 million. And they gave those guys $4.5 million, and those guys said, where's the other $3 million? And if we don't get it by Thursday, the LA Times is going to find out about it. And when that $3 million didn't show up, that's when they went to the LA Times. I find it very difficult to believe that Ohtani didn't know this was going on. Do I think he gambled? I do not. I just don't think. I just don't think that.
I have no reason to think that he did, but the story is so that it's hard to not wonder.
And here's the last thing I would say. And now I am going to sound like I'm issuing some sort of blanket defense for him, and I'm not trying to do that. But I will say this: I do think there is something to be said also about the incredible language barrier between what his native language and English. I do think there's something to be said for that.
Maybe.
In the same way that when I only went twice, but when we went to Montreal for soccer and I sat in a hotel in Montreal, I felt like I was on another planet.
Yep, I get it.
I felt I mean, if for anyone who's ever traveled to a foreign country and didn't know the language, the amount of whatever you want to call it, fear or the amount of you're so overwhelmed with very much so. You're like, I'm in another world.
Yep.
I don't know if I get in this cab and I tell this guy where to go. I don't know where I'm going. You just feel very, very overwhelmed. So I do think that could also have something to do with it. But I don't believe he didn't know anything about it. I think that's pretty hard to believe.
We got to grab a break. We're going to have to move things around. We'll do Would You Rather Wednesday when we come back in. Then we're going to talk to Randolph Childress about the NCAA tournament. That's on the way. Drew's here, Glenn Clark Radio.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Jeremy Kahn here. The ultimate sports betting experience in Maryland is at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook. Join me at either location in Canton or in Towson and place your bets in person and be a part of the action. It's the best in-class sports wagering experience, complete with the ultimate TV package, ensuring you can catch every game all day, every day. Their state-of-the-art facilities bring Las Vegas energy right here to Maryland just in time for postseason football. So visit the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton and Towson and elevate your game day experience and hang out with me to bet, watch, and win at the Turtle.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels. Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
It's Would You Rather Wednesday, presented by Glory Days Grill. Last week for you to enjoy the March spring menu at Glory Days Grill. So the Reuben is still available. Of course, the hot fish sandwich this Friday for your last Fish Friday of the year.
Let me tell you something about the Reuben at Glory Days.
Yeah.
And that is different than almost every other Reuben. They are one of the only places that doesn't overly saturate it with Thousand Island dressing. Everybody wants to just
make it like a
thing.
Thousand Island sandwich,
it's awful.
right?
The Glory Days is one of the only places I know that kind of just spreads it on there.
Well, you can you can get a $25 gift card just for participating in Would You Rather Wednesday and get over to Glory Days before the month is over to enjoy those March favorites, and then we'll make way for a new seasonal menu next month, and we'll look forward to that. And, of course, Glory Days always has delicious ribs, wings, burgers, all of that.
It's one of my only 5 Springsteen songs I don't like.
I didn't know that you didn't like that.
I am not
I
a Glory
had
Days.
no idea.
I am not a Glory Days fan at all.
Okay.
One of the things that I don't like about it is he says he can throw that speedball by you.
Yeah,
it's not called a speedball.
Yeah, right. I've never really thought about that. This is the conversation I always have because I'm a big Billy Joel fan, of course. Not like you are with Springsteen, but I'm a big Billy Joel fan. And whenever the topic comes up, like apparently I went and saw Fall Out Boy last week.
Okay.
Jimmy Eat World opened for them. Jimmy Eat World's one of my favorite bands of all time, so it was sort of like, well, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
No, I like
know you were a Fall Out Boy fanboy. I didn't know.
I like 2 or 3 Fall Out Boy songs, so I said whatever, I'll watch. And my cousin's son.
Where was this show?
Was at the arena.
Oh, okay.
My cousin's son was like, yeah, I want to go, so we went. And they did, like a year ago, they did a cover of We Didn't Start the Fire.
Okay.
And what I said at the time is, this is a bad cover, but it's not Fall Out Boy's fault. It's a bad song. It's just there's.
Oh, you don't like We Didn't Start the Fire?
We Didn't Start the Fire is not just the worst Billy Joel song.
Okay.
It's a it's a terrible song.
Wow.
It is pointless. It's just listing things. There's nothing
It's a
there.
little bit like REM's
It's the end of the world.
You
Is
know it.
like and you just
Right.
because it's an earworm.
Right.
You convince yourself like this is. It's not. It's a bad song.
Okay, I didn't
it's
know that.
bad.
Okay.
And then Billy Joel fans like want to fight with me. Like, no, Billy Joel can do no wrong. I'm like, no, it's okay.
Right.
All of the other
You're
songs
allowed to have one bad song.
are very good.
Right.
That one, not so much.
Right. Yeah,
Would
the
you
Doors
rather?
had "Hello, I Love You."
Oh, I've never really thought about it. I got to be honest with you.
I mean, obviously,
I've
Doors
never-
are my favorite band of all
Right, I've
time.
never really thought about
that.
that.
Song's terrible.
All right, would you rather, after David Rubenstein gets approved as owner today, he surprises everyone and announces a Julio Rodriguez-like extension for Gunnar Henderson?
Yes.
So 12 years, 250 guaranteed, but with a chance to
Yes.
max it out at
Yeah.
$500 million.
Yes.
Or
Oh.
he announces a surprisingly team-friendly 8-year, $220 million extension with Corbin Burns.
Oh, Gunnar every day.
Why?
Every day.
Why?
Because he's a baseball player. He plays every day. We're not going to pay a guy that kind of money to work every 5 days.
Oh, yeah? We're doing this? This is what we're doing?
In honor of Peter.
You're going to need pitching, Drew.
Peter,
You're
what
gonna
about
need-
Roy Oswalt?
Gunnar
Oh,
Henderson's
what do we
going to
give-
be here for the next 5 years.
No, I'll take Gunnar every day. Every day.
I want Gunnar as well. Go
I
get another
Pitchers
pitcher.
are too.
Go get another pitcher.
Pitchers are too volatile.
How are they going to get another pitcher?
We got
Fried
one.
one, yeah,
Gray
Fried.
Rod. We got them all. No,
Gray-
just go to Gunnar.
Gray Rod. That's
Gray Rod.
what you're doing. Number 2, would you rather bet $1,000 on Burns to win
Yes.
Cy Young at +6 at +600,
Yes.
or on Jackson Holliday to be Rookie of the Year at +250?
Well, you always go with the better odds for sure.
Yeah,
Burns.
and one of them's on the team.
Burns. Yeah.
He's got that going for him, which is
Burns.
nice.
Burns as well.
I feel like the odds really have swayed that one heavily towards Corbin Burns.
Plus
being the
660, huh?
plus 600.
Holiday might not
That's
play
of course.
this year.
Of course, from I
Is he
don't
the
think that's the case. Burns, yes, according to Superbook.
Because of Garrett Cole's out.
Superbook.com. Download the Superbook app. Use the code
Corbin Burns
GlenClark23.
is the-
Hang on a second. Use the code GlenClark23 when you sign up, and you'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Superbook.com. Download the Superbook app now.
Who else is there in the American League?
Well,
Is DeGrom coming back?
Verlander's hurt.
A lot of people like Tariq Skubal as a sleeper.
Is
Framber Valdez is the second favorite.
okay. And
Ac-
what
actually, they're tied.
Where is
Hang on a
DeGrom?
second. I
Is
want to
he
be
back?
fair. Valdez and Castillo are both plus 600 as well.
Okay. Castillo,
Um,
the dude from the Marlins.
Yeah, no.
No, the guy that went from the Marlins. Wasn't he with the Marlins?
You're thinking of the other Luis Castillo,
Oh, I
who
am.
was a second baseman for the Marlins.
I knew I was thinking of a Castillo.
Yeah, that part is true.
Right.
Gosman plus 700, Pablo Lopez, Scuball, both 1,000. Cole Reagan's 1,200. George Kirby at 14.
I mean,
Shane
it's almost
Bieber,
an
16.
embarrassment if Burns doesn't win based on these guys.
Well, I mean, some of these other guys we're expecting to see back. It's just how long, like, before Verlander ends up being back in Houston.
The funny thing is the Red Sox don't have anybody. They don't even
They're
have
starting
a pitcher.
Brian Bello.
They don't
That's
even
their
have
opening day start.
The Red Sox don't even
Brian
have a pitcher.
Bello.
How funny is it that the Red Sox are this
I
terrible?
like Brian Bello for what it's
But
worth.
how funny is it that they're this terrible?
That's where they are. It's what a world.
I love it.
What a world. And yes, McClanahan obviously is like, there's a lot of guys that would be in this conversation that just
I
aren't.
like that dude Bello's brother's band,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
the Lone Bello.
The Lone Bello. The Lone Bello.
That's new stuff too, by the way.
Yeah. Just on the fly.
That's new material.
On the fly.
You always tell me I need new material.
That's right.
There it
I
is.
have been telling you that for some time. And number 3, would you rather? Although I do like it when you play the hits, for what it's worth. I always appreciate you playing
Well, you
the
have
hits.
to do that, right?
Right, correct. You go C6, they got to play inside out.
Right,
That's the
right,
way that
right,
it works,
correct.
man. You can't.
Right. You see the Counting Crows.
Yeah.
They're playing Mr. Jones. at
Well,
some
they
point.
might, but they hate it.
Yeah, right.
He'll play it, but he's really mad he has to, and so he'll make it a sad, sad, sad song. And number 3, would you rather? He's sitting in the owner's box now, so Cal Ripken says you can have his seats behind home plate tomorrow. They're yours.
Okay.
Those, where he sits, they can be yours. If, and this was comes to us from the Buffalo News, if before the game you consume an entire pepperoni and cicada pizza, or I'm good.
I'll sit in the upper deck.
Yeah.
I'm not eating cicadas.
I think I'm down the third base line.
Yeah,
so
I'm not. Are you going tomorrow?
Yeah.
Oh, are
yeah,
you? Good for you.
Yeah.
We have a match now. We're playing Gilman tomorrow.
What, they can't move that? It's
Well, I
supposed
made
to.
the schedule.
It's supposed to rain.
Well, golf's an outdoor sport.
In the rain?
It's an outdoor sport.
If you say so. Baseball's an outdoor game, but I don't think they're going to play it if it rains.
We're not
tomorrow.
losing to the Angels on opening day, right?
I would like to hope not.
The Angels are going to be terrible.
They definitely. It's funny because, like, at some
who
point
do they have?
they have.
Mike
You think
Trout.
we
they
don't have
Mike
anyone?
Trout? Yes, they have Mike Trout.
And that's it, right?
basically. Well, they've got Aaron Hicks.
He can't finish. Trout can't finish the season there, right?
Why not?
The team's awful. They're giving him
but they've
$40 million.
been awful. Like that's not new. It's not like suddenly today they're awful. They've been awful. I don't know that
I don't think they can keep him. I just don't think they can keep him.
But
How many years does he have left on his deal?
But that's a
6?
good question too. But you're in a major
What?
market. I'm looking.
Yeah.
You're in a
6 or
major
7?
market, and then at that point you have
He's
absolutely
going to the Dodgers.
nothing.
You know it.
What do you keep saying?
He's going to the Dodgers.
He is under contract through
32?
30.
30. So he's got 6 years.
30.
Left.
Yeah.
4, 5,
7
6,
years.
7, 8,
7
9,
years.
10. Okay.
7 years left.
So he goes to the Phillies, and that's the end of it.
No, he'll definitely. That part I do think he's going to
Or
try to play for
Yankees.
the Phillies. At some
He always
point.
wanted to be a Yankee, he's going to say. Well, he is from New Jersey.
Yeah, but he's
Where's
from
he from,
South
Morristown?
No, he's from South. Yeah, whatever in South Jersey.
He's from Morristown, right? I know where people are from. He's from Morristown, New
Yeah,
Jersey.
that's something that you.
I think he's from Morristown.
Where's
right?
Miguel Cabrera from?
Venezuela. Where?
What town?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Caracas.
Exactly. Vineland.
Oh, Vineland, right. Which is the home of Glenn
Vineland,
Carbonara, who played for me.
How about that?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know who Glenn Carbonara is.
He played for me. So, yeah, I mean, he always wanted to be a Yankee. I mean, you could hear the whole press conference.
Right, no, I understand you saying that. I just don't I inherently don't know that the Angels don't just say, this is the entirety of our identity. We can't have nothing. We can't just, we need people to come to the
Do
stadium.
you think people out there, now I guess that's the point.
By the way, what you're about to ask is an incredibly fair question.
Do you think anyone out there cares about Mike Trout?
I do.
Do you really?
Yes.
I
do.
I don't.
I think if you're inclined to be a baseball fan, you do. That you still recognize that you're watching one of the more special talents of a generation. I do think that matters. Yes. And
boy, I just don't know.
There were years when the Orioles were not very good, but the idea of going to the ballpark to see Cal Ripken still mattered. Like it's still
Yeah, but that's totally different.
And because
totally different.
Because
of everything. The city, he was born here.
But I understand.
It's Los Angeles. No one pays attention to anything.
I get it, but there are still baseball fans there. Like that, I get.
Yeah, they're all rooting for the Dodgers.
Well, right now they might be. I understand. I
don't know, man.
All right, we got to.
He's going to the Yankees. You can hear the press conference already.
You've said that 4 times.
You just know it.
I thought you said you were doing new material.
You just
today.
know
You've
he's
just
going
done
to
the same material 4 times.
You just know he's going to the Yankees.
NCAA tournament still going on. By the way, we're into hour number 2 of today's show. Today's show brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. It's a proud sponsor of County Sports Zone, countysports.zone for the latest updates. Spring sports, get scores, schedules, the high school level, countysports.zone brought to you by Toyota. NCAA tournament that gets back underway tomorrow night. Joining us now, I've been enjoying him on the Fast Break stream on the March Madness app. And, of course, he's worked with ACC Network. He once played in the NCAA tournament here in Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
Correct,
right.
with Tim Duncan for Wake Forest.
They ran up a big bill. Wake Forest ran up a huge bill at the Hyatt and never paid it.
What?
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Well, we got to deal with that with Randolph Childress, who's with us right now here on GCR. Randolph, what say you? Drew says the Hyatt claims that you guys maybe still owe him some money from all those years ago.
Hey, it's not my bill. I can tell you what. It's funny. I remember a couple of nights. I might remember that night we, as players, they let us. They said, "Hey, you guys go down there and get what you want." And I think that's the last time they probably ever done that.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, right. They learned their lesson.
Took advantage of it. Yeah, they learned their lesson. That might be the story. I don't remember. My memory serves me correct. That might be the night. I don't know.
Oh, man. Hey, Randolph, it's great to chat with you, man. Let's just start broad, right? The biggest takeaway for you from the first 4 days of the NCAA tournament was what?
Wow, so many great stories. I just the Cinderella stories were great. I don't know if there's really one thing you can take away. I've seen certain rides that have just been amazing. The NC State rise to the Sweet 16 for a team that wasn't in the tournament and played themselves into it. We know about Oakland, but now it's great because all the big names are there. I mean, this is what you really want, and all of your Dukes, your Houstons, Iowa States, your UConns, Illinois. I mean, just all the brands that you want to be there. It's amazing. We've had a little bit of everything. We had your upsets, but now I think you have the teams that you want to represent your brand, which I think is probably the best sporting event that exists. Is the NCAA tournament.
You mentioned NC State because I think that you get so many good teams in the Sweets. I think it's very difficult. How many teams couldn't win this title? Like that's a difficult conversation. But do we have to now accept that this thing with NC State is real? Like I am still struggling with great story, amazing run, incredible. Nobody saw it coming versus. But could it continue? Like could they keep doing this? Remembering. How mid they were as a team just a couple weeks. Hell, at the beginning of the ACC tournament.
No, they're lucky to be here, but it's we say it all the time. Momentum's a fragile thing. We see it no matter what. I do think they have a tough matchup though, heading into Marquette. That's their guard play against a team that struggles with one of their best players is DJ Burns, and as great as his story is. I think the last thing he wants to see is Tyler Kolek and Cam Jones coming off ball screens, attacking him down the middle, putting that team in rotation. So I think of all the matchups that are coming, I think that's the most challenging one. That's a head scratcher where I think the magical run could end for NC State. But you never doubt a team that's connected, that's just playing as well. There's just a confidence about them right now. But I do think they have a difficult matchup heading them. I think so much of this tournament is about matchups like everything else, and I think they're in for a difficult one.
The amazing thing, obviously, you experienced this as a player, but the amazing thing is how much these two things equalize, especially now when you're in the final, when you're at the last 16 teams. The lack of home court and the lack of the referees potentially being swayed by the home team. Like those two factors, it's just amazing how every year you find teams sort of come out of nowhere because the thing gets equalized like this.
People don't realize there's an unfamiliarity of a stadium. You get there, you get to these arenas. You don't know what the regional arenas. You get there, and sometimes you don't get a chance to shoot. Right? You may get an hour of shooting, but within an hour, you're practicing. So depth perception from shooting and all those things matter so much. And you're right. I mean, you're at a neutral site. I think that one of the most underrated thing about the officials is how will the game be officiated, right? You look at a team like Houston and teams like Iowa State. They're so physical. Tennessee, they're so physical in defensive end. Do the referees allow them to play, or do they want to have more freedom of movement, more up and down tempo? I think as you start shrinking your officiating pool, what they prefer and how they see the game and how they emphasize, I think, is a big part of that. And we'll see that this weekend as well. I think it starts with the Duke and the Houston matchup.
He is Randolph Childress. He is with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. We're talking some NCAA tournament. Randolph, I think one of the big storylines, believe it or not, the last Big Ten team, current Big Ten team, to have won a national championship is still Maryland, and they weren't in the Big Ten, obviously, in 2002, which is staggering. Are we at the point now where, like, what we've seen from Purdue and Illinois, we can separate the Big Ten can't do this in March. These teams aren't good enough. They just don't play the right style of basketball. And can we accept viably that both of these teams legitimately have a chance to win a national title?
They both legitimately do. I think Illinois is more of a case that's different than the traditional argument against the Big Ten. I think Illinois plays more in an up and down. Illinois plays more in an up and down tempo, and they have one of the best wings in Terrence Shannon. I don't understand why he's not on draft boards, and I know his issues. But if he's guilty, then they'll deal with that. But just speaking purely as a basketball player, one of the more talented wings in the country. His experience. They don't fit your typical Big Ten big man style. They start Coleman Hawkins, who can play as a stretch five. Then they can come in with Dane Danger and play like a traditional big physical style. So they're the one team that I think that doesn't fit what the Big Ten has always been. Purdue does, but Purdue just has the most dominant player in college basketball in Zach Edey. So it's just different in that aspect. They're the mold, but they have the most difficult physical force. It's like, and he's not Shaq. I'm not saying that in any stretch of the imagination. He's not close to that. But people who have played against Shaq, and when you look up and hear the stories about that, that's what he is to these college kids. I mean, these college men. He's 7+
Yep.
feet, 300 pounds, and he just fouls you, physically just dominates you. And so that's more been the issue with the Big Ten. I just think this team has had experience and they've had some failures as we know about, but they've been able to grow up and adapt. So I think they're a little different, but they are more of your traditional style from the Big Ten that's created trouble. I think Illinois is not. Illinois is what you'll see more, I think, with the I'm anticipating with Dusty May coming into Michigan that they're going to get different styles, more modern styles, where I think the Big Ten issue was that everybody wanted to almost be stuck in a 90s style of playing basketball, big men, slow it down, and then you get into this NCAA tournament, and you're going to be forced to adapt to what everyone else is doing. And they've struggled doing that.
Are they, like, I it's tough for me to talk about you. There's not a lot of local interest for us here in the NCAA tournament, but Cam Spencer is a local kid, and what an unbelievable story for him to go from Loyola to Rutgers to now being like he's been the missing piece for this UConn team this season. I feel like late in the year, a lot of people were believing that UConn had created like a little bit of separation as being the team to beat again in this tournament. Did you feel that coming in? Do you feel like there is any amount of separation? Not to say that they're going to win, but that they really deserve to be notably separated as the favorite going into this weekend.
I don't see. I think it's all from November to now. UConn and Purdue have been the two best teams in the country.
Yeah,
Houston belongs in that conversation, but with Houston scheduled early, we didn't know. We couldn't, and we didn't put Houston in that conversation until they did what they did in the conference in the Big 12. Then we were like, oh, okay, you guys are the real deal and you belong in that conversation. But prior to that, you talk about the preseason tournaments. I mean, the early tournaments like Purdue winning the Maui and the UConn schedule early. When you saw the teams that they played, you were like, UConn, Purdue, no one else is close. And UConn has been. They look like as dominant as they were a year ago. They were so dominant against Northwestern, and they still shot 50% from the floor and was 3 of 23 from behind the three-point line. Like, I don't know how you beat them. They're the most versatile team in the league. I mean, in the tournament, they're just the way they can beat you any style. If it's throwing it inside the Klingon, if you're switching five and they need to just put the ball in Tristan Newton's hand and they win games, they run great stuff. They have depth on their team. I just think they're the most complete team that can play and match up with any style, whereas that other teams like Purdue has to play one way. Zach Edey has to play well, and everyone else has their limitations. That UConn team, they got a streak going of, 13 or more points in the last eight NCAA tournament games now. Like it's crazy.
It's absolutely insane.
Well, Winston-Salem, you guys have got to be not even watching the games now. You got Duke and North Carolina still
and
alive.
NC State.
And NC State, right?
Like, it's got to be killing you.
I'm sick to my stomach. I got to sit here and talk about Tar Heels, Duke, and Wolfpack.
No doubt.
I'm sick as a weight guy.
At least you don't have Virginia in there, right? And then you'd really be in trouble.
It'd put me out of my misery at that point. Just take me in the backyard and put me out of my misery. It's fun. It's a great time, and it'll be interesting to see how everything plans out. I do root for them, though. I mean, seriously, those guys have – Hubert Davis is from the area. He obviously lives in Northern Virginia. I've known him since high school, and I've become friends with Jeff Capel and these guys. And so there are Duke guys that I know that I like, and even Shire and their staff now. So Keeks I know. So you become, as much on the competitive side, you joke about it, but I am cheering for the league. I'm cheering for those guys. May the best man win. It's just an unbelievable tournament, and they've had a great run thus far.
Carolina's the one that's always the most amazing to me. I mean, obviously when Coach K was there and Duke had this 25-year run of great players and one of the best coaches ever, and no one liked them, but they won. And then when they lost, we all had parties. But Carolina, just every year, they just seem to produce every single year, and they're always hanging around in the hunt somewhere. It's very Duke-like without the fanfare, I think.
Everybody, you talking about Carolina or Duke?
I'm talking about North Carolina just in general.
Carolina, I think the biggest thing with them, it's great to see for Hubert is he takes over, they go to the national championship, right? And then he runs it back with the number one team, and then they don't make the tournament. And I don't know if everyone seems to be dismissive towards this now. I think there was so much pressure on Hubert Davis coming into this year that if he did not get this team to where it is now, I think there'd be people calling for his job. And so for him to respond
Right.
with ACC Coach of the Year and a number one seed and the team that very easily could get to the tournament, it'll be amazing because I'm looking forward to it. I think the two games I want to see, and I pray we get this, is the Carolina and Arizona in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four with with R.J. Davis and Caleb Love rematch from a former Tar Heel that was on that team a year ago that didn't make it, and I would love to see UConn and Purdue for the national championship.
Before I let you go, Randolph, we it's been a lonely basketball season for Maryland fans.
Typical year.
In this era, and again, it's not like the defense was good. The offense was obviously abysmal. In this era, they've landed a very significant national recruit in Derek Queen. They've already gone to work in the portal. They got Rodney Rice from Virginia Tech. Can it turn around that quick? Can, as bad as it was this year, 2 more hits in the portal, Maryland be right back in the mix a year from now?
I think the number one thing, yes, it can happen quickly. We've seen it happen. I mean, we've seen it throughout. That's the one thing the tournament has shown us. I think the most underrated thing that's out there is not to get caught up in the names, but how you construct a roster. I think it's more important now than anything. Like, you literally have to know what that kid is and the man hits and how he fits into what you're doing. And you literally have to be, I think, the best general manager of putting together. Because it's like Kentucky. I thought one of the issues that Kentucky had was you essentially signed 3 high school All-Americans and you bring them in and they play 2 spots. That's a lot to ask kids to sacrifice to buy into at that age. And I think they bounced around with those 3 guards and you needed some experience. In the end, they get to the NCAA tournament. Their experienced guys were the ones that showed up. And sometimes you need a moment to lean on veteran guys where 18, 19-year-olds, the pressure becomes too much, the distractions become too much. How you construct your team, I think, is big. So I think that's the biggest thing Maryland had to deal with. I think it's just, you're going to have to adapt. They're in that area. There's talent there. How much local talent do you keep? How much do you bring in from the portal? I think there's a lot. How experienced are you with young guys? It can happen quick. We'll see. I mean, obviously, they were off to a good start with recruiting. But you need to get some level of experience, like I think we saw with Kentucky. Winning with freshmen, I don't care how talented they are, they're not getting the best guys. Duke is getting the top freshmen every year. Duke, those kids from PBI are not going to Maryland; they're going to Duke, and that's a big part of this. And so they're in that position. Outside of that, you got a mixture. And so yes, you can flip it. But how you evaluate all these other guys, just like Rodney Rice, and I'm a fan of Rodney Rice.
Mm-hmm.
I know his dad. I talked to him. But can any one of us tell me what he does in college and what he's done yet? We don't know.
He's barely played, right? Yeah.
Right. So we don't know what he's going to bring, right? So outside of the name, when you have to go back to him being a high school player to really understand what he brings to a college team, we just don't know yet. And that's the tricky part. Can he be what we project him to be? Or does he still need time to adjust like that? You hear the name, you're like, oh, man, they got Rodney Rice. He's coming from Virginia Tech. Well, he didn't play much at Virginia Tech, so we don't know what he is.
Right.
And I think finding those gems and those jewels and how they fit into a team, like I said, being a GM is way more critical right now to me than just worrying about signing a name, as talented as McQueen is or any of these guys. Just you got to figure it out, the puzzle, pieces to the puzzle, and make it fit.
You working again this weekend, Randolph?
You know what? That studio hours for the first round have been brutal.
Yeah.
I am home for a couple of days, and I'm going to take off. If the way it works now, you just kind of wait, and then you'll get a phone call. It could be today, tomorrow. I can do an NIT game or not. Right now, I'm scheduled just to be off until the Final Four.
Okay.
So that'll be great, and I'll take off next week. I'm not upset about that either. So I'm home, catching up with some rest, getting ready for these games this weekend, and just watching a ton of college basketball and pro basketball for that matter.
Well,
enjoying the time off.
I got to tell you, I'm an NCAA tournament freak. I love the Fast Break channel. It's not my new favorite thing. It's how I watched the first 4 days and really enjoyed you and Coach Passner and Tony, the whole crew, and the work that you did there, man. Randolph Childress.
I appreciate it.
At R22 Childress on Twitter is how you follow him. Thanks for spending some time with us, man. Hopefully there'll be an NCAA tournament one day in Baltimore again, and we can bring you back here and we can get everybody
your bill.
Right, taken care of at the high.
Hey, that bill with interest right now, I want no part of paying that bill. You can believe that.
Randolph.
Prayers to you guys in the community.
Thank
up
you.
there.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
That's a lot. It's always home, and I'm prayers to everyone involved. And that could have been so much worse.
Yep.
And I'm just glad that it was not as bad, but it's still a tragic thing, and it's unfortunate. So praying for everyone in Baltimore, everyone around the country is watching you guys, supporting you guys, and it's just I know how that feels in the community, and I just it's nothing you can say about it to make anything feel any better or go any better. But I was just broken. My heart was broken when I saw it and heard about it, and
I appreciate
everything else. We're tough enough to know we'll all get past it, man.
We really
Prayers to
appreciate
you guys.
that. Thank you, man. Thank you, Randolph. Randolph Childress.
All right, guys. Take care.
With us here on GCR.
What are the cops doing here?
Well, I was going to say no offense, but what's the police commissioner of the Baltimore Police?
Is he
So
here?
you might need to.
Is he here?
Yeah, he's sitting right out there.
What's he want? Me? Or
Well,
you?
I was going to suggest that perhaps we
I
introduce
go out
you
the
to
window. I go out the window.
the other way to leave. Is what I was going to suggest.
I looked in the mirror and I saw
Like-
cops. I'm like,
Yeah, that's
finally.
the commissioner
Finally,
of
huh?
the Baltimore Police Department, and he's got a few questions for you
Gotcha.
before
Where were
before
you
you get out
on
of here
June the
today.
8th,
Yeah.
1999?
Correct. That thing that you admitted to in the park earlier. He wanted to
You
maybe
were 17 drinking beer back then?
Yeah, he wanted to talk to you about
I was,
that.
yes, sir.
Did you have something super important for what's wrong with the country, or can we hold it till next week?
I got so much, but we can hold it. till
I'd
next week.
like to let the committee.
Yeah,
Obviously,
let
there's been a lot going on the last
Yeah, let him
24
come in.
hours. I'd like to have him come
Yeah,
in
I got to
here.
run. Okay.
At It's a Hooded 4-Iron.
Yep.
DrewsMorningDish.com.
That's me.
Is there a golf? It's not this week.
Oh.
No.
Next Wednesday is the big preview we're doing here, right?
Oh,
That's what you said. Oh, I can't come next Wednesday.
Oh, that's too bad. That's
And I can't
well,
come
wait,
Thursday
I was
because
I was
Ethan's
gonna say,
getting his wisdom.
isn't it the following week?
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
following Wednesday we'll do the preview show.
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll dive in. We'll do that.
You're terrible.
For
Yeah,
sure.
next Wednesday I'm away on a spring trip.
No, that's too bad.
the
No
golf team.
golf show this week.
I don't think so.
Oh, I know there's not
Yeah.
this week. The following week. Okay.
TBA.
All right. We
We
changed.
got-
We changed schedules.
I heard
We
a
did.
rumor about that.
Yeah, we did.
I
don't know how that works out for you.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
know
so-
how it works out for me. I don't know how it works out for you.
Yeah.
Drew's.
I don't know. I don't know either.
Drew Forrester. Griffin, really quick to tell everybody what's
All right.
going on at the Green Turtle. See you,
Bye.
buddy.
They now have sports betting at the Green Turtle, and every Thursday in Towson and Canton, you get a free $10 bet. You can use it on whatever you would like. Obviously, some sweet basketball matchups tomorrow, as well as some baseball as well. So you can experience the ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. So go check out the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. Pick up your free bet and make some money while enjoying some food and sports tomorrow at the Turtle.
When he finishes interrogating Drew Forrester, Baltimore Police Commissioner Richard Worley joins us in studio next. It is Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey, it's Jeremy Kahn. This postseason, bet in person at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks with locations in Canton and in Towson, and enjoy the best in-class sports wagering experience at their state-of-the-art facilities, bringing an unmatched sports betting thrill.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor, dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan-favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com. What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Hungry? With 7 locations throughout Maryland, Glory Days Grill is always right around the corner. They have wings, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and drinks to satisfy everyone, as well as tons of televisions and sound delivered right to your phone. Glory Days is the best place to watch football or whatever your favorite sport is. While you're there, be sure to check out Goose Flights Lager, named in honor of legendary Raven Tony Goose Siragusa. $2 of every can is donated to the Goose Flights Foundation. Glory Days Grill. Great food, good sports.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along. My friend Amanda Crockey had asked me about, having the commissioner back in before opening day, and I always wanted to do that. I always enjoy, talking about that, what it means for our city, and tips for, hey, avoid trouble, don't make things worse for yourself. I like doing that. Obviously, this week, the events that have gone on in our city, there's some other things that I want to talk about a little bit, but I always am happy to have these conversations. I think it's the first time since Commissioner Richard Worley has taken over that we've had him here in studio on GCR. Rich, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for I know it's been a very busy week. Thank you for coming in and spending some time with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I guess let's just spend a minute on that. And I think it's an interesting, we deal with a lot of things in our city, right? Obviously, there's no game plan. You've probably got a playbook for a lot of things that you deal with. There's no playbook for what happens when you get the phone call, the Key Bridge has collapsed. What have the last 36 hours been like for you? And we've talked a lot about the varying emotions that we've dealt with, right? Like the emotions of sadness versus how much worse things could have been, and that in a way it's miraculous that it wasn't worse. But you don't want to take anything away from the fact that 6 souls perished in this. Like there's just a lot of emotions for a lot of people.
Absolutely, and there. You never plan for something like this, but there is sort of a game plan, the incident command system that we've put into place after 2001, the tragedy of 2001 and 9/11. That system helps a great deal because we treat these major incidents just like not like every major incident that usually involves a tragedy. And the tragedy here could have been much worse. The six individuals who we believe have perished from this accident is a tragedy, and the families will always be in our prayers and our thoughts. But there could have been much worse if the communication had not taken place and the proper channels were set up to block the traffic going onto the bridge. And then just the men and women, the first responders who put their lives on the line, simply to block the traffic and then to go into the water and get the 2 individuals who were able to get out. And who are still there now trying to recover everything that's down under there, with any possibility that there could be someone somewhere that it could have survived. There's always, you can always hope for a miracle. The hope kind of wanes as you get further and further. But our divers are out there right now with the fire department and all the other agencies. And that's the thing that I think
every first responder should be proud of is that every single agency, I don't even want to name them because I'm going to miss so many, and even as far as Canada have offered support.
That's
but
great.
The men and women that right now, the divers are down there trying to recover whatever we can under the water. And it's kind of dangerous because you never know what they're going to encounter because the visibility under there is not very good.
Oh, heroes that's the easiest thing that we can say is truly heroic, that response. As we move forward now, and we know that there is going to be major disruption to a lot of things, what would you want the citizens, obviously, you're the Baltimore Police Commissioner, but this, of course, speaks to a greater, what would you want them to know, and what would you ask of citizens of this community as we try to move forward? There are going to be headaches. Like, there's just kind of nothing that we can do about that until we get to that place down the road where there is a new bridge or, a new pattern for traffic, things along those lines.
Yes, and it kind of goes back to what we were going to start and what we are going to start still on Friday is our traffic, and people have to have patience.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to have lost patience since COVID, is that the driving habits are horrible, and not just here, everywhere. It's the city, the county, other states. People just and I'll go back to what I said earlier, is they look at stop signs and red lights and speed limits as suggestions, and it's causing so many issues. But they have to have patience, especially as the key bridge is no longer going to be a possibility from getting from one place to another. So you've got to use alternative travel routes, and the problem is that those routes are going to now become more crowded because of more people. The only good thing that I can think with the traffic is the fact that we still have a lot of people who work from home. So that's cut down on some of the traffic, but there are going to be major delays as you move from place to place. We saw yesterday that people who live in Anne Arundel County, Pasadena, I talked to the young man that said he uses the Key Bridge every single day, so he's got to find another alternative route. But I would just say practice patience and have a little courtesy for the other driver. Instead of not letting them in to the lane of traffic, let them in.
We have, Rich, man, we could do an hour on this particular topic, and right. I don't know. I've convinced it's social media related. Like, everybody believes they're the star of the show now, but when I was younger, people ran red lights. We're getting to the point where we're going through red lights 10 seconds after that. I've never. This is anecdotal. I have no statistics to back this up. I don't know what you guys are dealing with, but I have never seen anything like the recklessness with which what we're doing matters, what you're doing does not. All that matters is we've got to be somewhere. Whatever you're doing, it's worth us risking your lives, but because it's so important, whatever it is that we're doing. It's astonishing what I have seen in recent years as far as traffic is concerned.
You're right, and that's why we are one of the reasons we're doing this initiative. The mayor and I have talked about it a great deal with the mayor, the deputy mayor, about the fact that people will just pull up and put their flashers on and get out and go. They'll just get out and go somewhere and say, okay, well, now go around me. And the good thing for me is that I'm in an unmarked car. So when they do that to me and they'll wave us around.
Yeah, you're like, now we're actually going to have a talk.
And I hit the lights. I was like, no, you're going to move.
Yep.
And there's a couple areas in the city that drive me nuts. Unfortunately for my men and women, is I can see those out the window, and they'll get a text message to tell those cars, move those cars from stopping. You think they can run in and pick up food and disrupt everybody else's traffic on Pratt Street to move. And the men and women have done a fabulous job with it. Friday is when we're going to kick it off. We're going to start enforcing. And because I've talked about it so much, and the mayor's talked about it, I look at our vehicle stops every day. I've already seen our officers start to adjust.
Wow, okay.
They've already started making more traffic stops. And there's a twofold process. And there's something that we're going to stumble upon some things that we probably would not if we didn't stop more vehicles, because we know that more cars are being stolen. Carjackings are down, but vehicles being stolen and using those vehicles to commit street robberies is increasing. And the fact that a lot of guns are transported in vehicles. So as our men and women start stopping vehicles for more traffic violations, they can do a further investigation. And there's a lot of people in the city who drive who don't have a license to drive or whose license is suspended. Not just in the city, but in the state. So as we start to increase more and more interaction during the traffic stops, we're going to stumble upon some other things. And our men and women do a fabulous job of investigating. And they use the constitutional policing to get these individuals off the street who are going to carry guns in our city. And there's a proliferation of guns in the city.
I think we know that. Yeah, we know that to be true. Commissioner Richard Worley, the Baltimore Police Commissioner, is in studio with us. Let's get to the fun part of this conversation, right? Then we can talk more about bigger safety issues. The fun part is we think opening day is tomorrow, weather permitting, and it's a holiday. It's one of our favorite days all year long. You're a Baltimorean. You know how much this day means to everyone. How many people are going to end up being, to the closest 1,000, how many people are going to end up being cited for public urination downtown tomorrow?
My goal is 0.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great.
But there will probably be a few. One thing that we will have is I hope they don't, because there are plenty of restrooms and businesses that you can frequent to purchase something or just use the restroom. Some will, and I can't I can't judge the rules on what the businesses do, but it's something it's just disgraceful that you would do something like that. There's enough places to use the facilities that you don't have to do that. But when our officers come upon it, they will cite it. We're going to have plenty of officers out. Opening day, like you said, is a great day. I remember we used to get a half a day of school to go to the Orioles game, and we'll have a lot of officers we have officers inside the stadium, and we work with the Maryland Stadium Authority to provide the security inside. We'll have traffic with all of our city, state, and federal partners helping us. And then we also, something last year that unfortunately we didn't have to deal with this in the past because there weren't as many fans coming to the games because we just weren't getting fans. Well, now the team is
it's good. Yes,
team is
right.
very successful.
Yeah.
This is a great problem to have. We have thousands of people parking at garages walking to and from the stadium. So we have to make sure our officers are out there on the ingress and egress, keeping those individuals safe as they move to and from the stadium, and all the festivities that they embark on before and after. The downtown area has several establishments that are going to cater to it every single day, and I hope we win a World Series this year and we have to deal with playoffs.
that would be a great problem to have, wouldn't it? That would be a wonderful problem. Advice that you would offer to someone, because this is the reality. A lot of people are going to wake up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and report downtown and start drinking very early. That's the way it goes. That's no longer my life. Once upon a time in my life, that would have been in the plans for me. Advice that you would offer to people who are planning on in having a day. What should they be thinking about? What should they be making plans for today, before tomorrow? Just what advice would you have in general for someone who's planning on making a day of festivities tomorrow?
Number one, I would say plan ahead, because some of the routes obviously are not going to be available. It's going to be crowded. There's going to be a lot of people going in and out of the stadium area. And there's still business day. So there's going to be people in the downtown area because of businesses. So I would tell you, plan ahead. If you're going to drink, use one of the rideshare services. Don't drive, because if we catch you drinking and driving, we are going to arrest you.
I would add to that, it's not just that you could get arrested. You could kill somebody.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Absolutely.
Don't do it.
There are enough rideshare companies out there that you can get a whatever. I don't want to say any names, but
right.
Take
we all know what they are. Yeah, correct.
Yeah, go and take it. We use it just for convenience, not even the fact that you have to drink, but use public transportation. It's all there available to you. Enjoy. Don't worry about your safety. We will worry about that. We will have enough officers around to keep everyone safe, hopefully. Don't put yourself in a bad circumstance. If you are driving, be patient and courtesy, and there's going to be parking everywhere. But enjoy hopefully an Orioles win, the first of 100 or more.
Yeah, right. May it be 120. May it be a record-setting season. I'm going to handle this delicately. Yeah, I talk for a living. Are the people that go downtown and wear diapers geniuses or disgusting, Rich?
I would not do it.
Yeah, I don't think I've never had the thought. Every year I think to myself, maybe this will be the year I just see, like, we make it like a social experiment. But I'm like, no, it's gross. There's no way I'm gonna do it.
No.
But then there's also the part of me that like says, yeah, but like I think it's gross. I think it's disgusting. If you're drinking that much, stay home. Stay home. Stay home. There's plenty of bathrooms. You don't need to stay home.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just not. There's bathrooms everywhere. That's the way it goes. You brought up a word a little while ago, the word, of course, being safety. And you know in this job that's the word that I'm sure you deal with the absolute most is people saying, I don't like coming downtown because I don't feel safe. Can you walk me through why an Orioles fan, why a concert going, boy, you know, the arena has provided so many opportunities. You know, what a boon that has been for our city. Why you should no longer or should never have not felt safe to come downtown for an event?
There are probably times where you were right in not feeling safe because things were not done right. And let's just say when we did catch people, sometimes they weren't prosecuted. And we have changed all of our philosophy now, not really the philosophy, but our deployment downtown. We cannot lose the downtown area. It's a great area. CFG Arena is providing a great venue. We have conferences in the city every day, and we have our officers. The redistricting has helped us a great deal with the Central District, and we know that we have to have deployment down there because as more and more people frequent downtown and more people come back to work, the governor is having more state workers come back to work. He's helping with the economy of the city, and we have to keep everyone safe. I can't make you feel safe. That's a personal thing, but I think if we provide enough officer presence and you see officers and you see visibility, and we can't do it alone. We have our federal, state, and local partners. We have school police, the sheriffs, Maryland State Police, University of Baltimore, University of UMB Police. We have all of those different agencies now working together. We have the fire department, who's a great help with us, and we have a great partnership. And all the other city services, which a lot of people think about with safety, think about the other city services don't play a part, but they do. You see just the comfortability of coming downtown and seeing that trash is being picked up, seeing that we have proper maintenance, that the city is cleaner. I just think the fact that people feel more comfortable. And one of the big things that we haven't talked about yet is the city has done a fabulous job with the squeegee workers.
I'm glad you bring that up because I have, you know.
I was hesitant on bringing it up.
And this is, it's such a difficult, look, let's put all the cards on the table, straight shoot, right? Like I personally, Glenn Clark, have never had a negative interaction with a squeegee worker, right? Like there have been times where I've had a dollar and I said, hey man, you know, like here you go. And there are a lot of times where I haven't and I said, hey, I'm sorry, you know, all good. It's never happened I've never felt uncomfortable in those circumstances. But I understand that there are people that do. I know there have been initiatives that have been put into place, but a lot of people in the last couple of weeks, hey, the weather's getting nicer, starting to notice that there are more squeegee workers that are out. What is the advice that you give people for their interactions with squeegee workers? Like, and just take me through, ideally, what this looks like for you as police commissioner moving forward. You know, are there squeegee workers? How does this work moving forward?
Yeah, well, first, the mayor's office did a fabulous job with dealing with the young men and women who do the squeegee work now. They've given them mayor's officer, African-American male engagement with Dr. Bunley. Monty has they've done a fabulous job of giving these young men and women alternatives. The problem that we run into now is there's grown men and women doing it. It's not kids a lot. But the biggest thing I would tell you is that we are still deploying to it. We have a very, very minor part in it, in the fact that we can give them warnings, and then there's a certain point that it becomes a citation. But usually as soon as we show up, they leave. But before we show up, we'll call the mayor's office and have Dr. Bunley's people come out and deal with the young men and women to try to give them alternatives. And a lot of them have taken advantage of it. And we still have areas. And the bad thing is, now that I drive around downtown more to and from home and to and from different events, there's a couple areas I just send a text message like there's squeegee workers here. On my way home, there's squeegee workers here, and they're not allowed to be there. We clear them off because we want your experience in the city to be safe. Sometimes I've had one bad experience with a young man, but I used to run into him all the time, and I just say no. I was like, just shake my head. They usually know that I have an unmarked police car. And
Okay, and so
they kind of
yeah.
stay away. But the main thing I would tell you to do is do not give them your phone. Do not give them your phone and tell them to transfer money through Cash App. Don't give them any of your device. If you want to give them $1, that's fine, or whatever you want to do. But I would just keep the windows up and just shake your head no. If you have an issue, try to get a good description of the young man or woman and call 911 and give them the best description that you can, or just pull somewhere and ask to speak to an officer, and then we can go address it. But the worst thing you can do is give them your phone or try to Cash App them any money, because they can. We've had it last week where they took a phone and transferred $2,000.
Yeah, that's not great. You're not getting that back. That's the way it goes. You're not getting that back. We were talking about fraud last week on the show. You are not. It's gone now. That's just the way it is, unfortunately. Well, yeah, that's good advice. Don't do that. That is very good advice.
But 90% of the young men and women out there that are doing it to earn a few dollars. It's just like with everything. The 10% who commit the robberies, get mad, and damage a vehicle, that's who ruins it for everyone. But it's happened enough that the fear of it being there is there, and the city has done a really good job of giving them alternatives and clearing most of it out of the city. And we're going to continue to work with that until every single young man and woman has an opportunity to use another alternative to being out there squeeging. Because not only is it something that we don't want to see, it's dangerous and it's against the law when you're running in and out of traffic, especially at nighttime, because you can't see them.
Yeah, no question. All right, so Commissioner, you told me you were a baseball player when you were.
I was.
You don't have you couldn't come out of the bullpen on Saturday if we needed you for like an inning at the end.
I wasn't a pitcher. I was an infielder and a catcher.
Okay, we maybe need a second baseman right now because Jackson Holliday's not up. You think you can give us if called upon, right? We get one of those like 16-inning games and something like that.
Sure. I'd love to take. I still think I could hit one of the big league players. I'd love to. I still play, so it's we run into some guys who throw fast when we play, but they're throwing their definition of throwing hard at my age is 80 degrees. 80
right? Yeah,
80
correct.
miles
It's not
an hour.
97, right?
So it's not 97.
Yeah,
but
you actually can see the ball for a
Yes.
second and have some sort of idea of where it's going.
Yes, but we at my age in the 50s, you still think you can do stuff that you did when you were 20s, and then you quickly learn that you cannot.
Rich.
Or if you do, the next day you're not walking or moving around.
Rich, I'm just 40, and my two sons, I got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old, they decided they wanted to switch from lacrosse to baseball this year. And I went out for like the first time just throwing batting practice and hit them grounders, and the next day I couldn't get up. What? These are parts of my body I haven't used in some time.
Yeah.
It was miserable.
We're getting ready to start our season, and we went down to Florida, and I haven't swung a whole lot since we got back from Florida, so I've got to get to the cages this week or next week before we start playing.
I mean, I don't think that I could still play as frequently. I think that would be. I went to like a rock climbing gym the other day, and I'm still in hell. Like I think that those days are just over for me in my life.
It's fun. I stayed away from it for 10 years, and then one of my buddies got me to come back out and play baseball. We play on Sundays, and maybe 1 day a week.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of fun. You still it's just getting out and the camaraderie of being out there and playing, and getting a break from everything else you do is a lot of fun.
Oh, there's stress in your job? I can't imagine.
Still get angry when I go over for 3 though.
Commissioner, before we let you go, I assume that there's still a need for more officers. I assume that there's still, you guys could use more help.
Absolutely. We're going to probably within the month of March or April, we're going to fall below 2,000 police officers. And at peak, we had over 3,200. When we went under 300 murders the last time in 2014, we had 2,981. So we had 981 more officers. But this tells about the great job that the men and women are doing out there in the city for the city police, as well as our partners, because we couldn't do it without our state, local, and federal partners and other city agencies helping take the burden of some of the calls. But we do need officers. There's a $10,000 sign-on bonus. The starting salary right now is $61,000, but they're in negotiations. So I think, and we're going to move towards a take-home vehicle. We have incentives to live in the city. We have a lot of different incentives, and it's a great organization to come and learn. It was one of the best decisions I made was become a police officer. And I knew when I came here we weren't going to be the highest paid, but I came for the love of the job, and I love it. I still love it today.
And I know we talk a lot about you you want to see a difference, be the difference, right? Like
Absolutely.
Step up and be a part of this. Where can people find out more if they might be interested?
They just call the recruitment section. Or you can basically go online. The easiest thing is go online because we have nationwide testing. So you can go online, sign up. You can sign up for the test. A recruiter
at
will call you back.
BaltimorePolice.org?
Yes.
Okay, Baltimore Police.
The police will call you back, and one of the recruiters will call you back, and then you'll be on your way, and you can join us out here, and you're going to learn. One thing with the BPD is you come here and you handle things here within 3 to 5 years that most officers don't handle their entire career. And if you decide you do want to move on to another position, you can springboard it into a lawyer job as a lawyer. You can springboard into one of the federal agencies. It's just a great place to learn. But once you get here, a lot of people leave, and then they realize, well, every agency is about the same throughout the country.
Right.
Everywhere you go, it's the same issues. So this is a pretty good place. We're building a couple new police districts. The mayor has invested a ton of money, and the governor has given us a lot of money to help build our department. And right now, we are the agency that, with Commissioner Harrison, when he put us on the right path, I'm trying to keep that path going. And we're looked at as one of the agencies around the country that are doing things right. We have a world-renowned health and wellness program. And just the fact that the job that our men and women are doing being so short is a testament to the hard work that everyone has put in.
And can I just, before I let you go, can I confirm that, like, the statute of limitations probably be up for, like, any substance someone might have consumed at the 1999 HF Festival while the Red Hot Chili Peppers were playing? Can I just hope that
there are still rules, but there are we've learned, even with our uniform policy, we used to have a very strict policy on tattoos and facial hair.
I just meant not for calling a cop. I just meant maybe or in general,
those
anybody that might have maybe done something. Probably it's 25 years. We're good at this point.
You have to adjust. Yeah, you're
all
good.
Right. Thank God. Oof,
we have to adjust with the times, like tattoos and and beards are in. So we're going to do.
So what you're saying is the long-haired freaks are now we're good now. You want to become a.
You still have to cut your hair.
All right.
You still have to have the hair has to be cut and look professional. And we're getting back to a uniform. We're going to provide them with a better uniform and a more comfortable uniform. So we're trying, because we listen to what our officers said, because it's easy I've done it for 26 years and I'm not out there every day. So if I want to change and attract officers, I have to ask the officers what they like.
Yep.
And when I go to roll calls, I ask them. And it's kind of hard because they all don't. You're the commissioner, so
right.
They don't always.
They don't really want to give you honest,
always
right?
Don't want to give me honest answers.
No, we love everything.
Everything. No, they don't tell me that. No, they're not afraid to complain, but a lot of the complaints that they give me are valid complaints and things that that we're working on. And
Okay.
those are the things like the permanent shifts and not having to take home vehicle. And those things we can change. We can change the little things to attract the officers, but we have to make them happy to increase morale, and then they will be our best recruiters.
It's great to meet you, Rich. Appreciate, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. What you all, everybody, the job that you have done, not only in the last 24, 36 hours, and how much comfort our community has felt because of it goes a long way. We've seen the response. We appreciate the response. We feel like you all stepped up in a big, big way. So we're grateful for that as a community.
Thank you. And I have to give the shout out to my partner at the fire department, Chief Jay Wallace. He did a phenomenal job. He's been the incident commander. The mayor and the governor have done a fabulous job, and all the city, state resources, and all our federal partners have done a great job. But the fire department is the lead agency. They've done a great job. We're right there with them with our divers, working hand in hand. And we even have a crime lab there taking photos. And, like, everything has worked really well with the city agencies all working together with their federal partners. But the fire chief has been the main one here. We've been a support, and I'm happy being a support. I've been the lead for a lot of stuff. He's done a fabulous job coordinating everything, and the mayor has done a great job, and the governor's been here for anything that we need. So things are going well as you can in a tragedy. Now we have to get those families closure and get the young men that are missing and get them back to the families.
Commissioner Richard Worley, great to meet you. Thank you for coming in and spending time with us today.
Thank you. Great to meet you. Thanks for having me.
We'll come back in. We'll wrap things up for a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Craving that classic New York deli experience? Look no further than the new Atman's Deli in Baltimore's Harbor Point. Corned beef piled high, hand-rolled bagels, and something different. A bar! Atman's has food and drink specials every day. Now open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine in, grab takeout, or hang out at the bar for the next O's game. Atman's Deli, an authentic taste of Baltimore tradition since 1915. Find us at Harbor Point or visit atmansdeli.com.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GLENCLARK23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GLENCLARK23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Whether you're celebrating a special milestone, entertaining clients, or simply enjoying a night out, count on Ruth's Chris to deliver you the finest steaks, the best service, and a level of hospitality that has made Ruth's Chris one of the most revered names in steaks since 1965. Make your reservation now at ruthschris.com.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
The ultimate fan experience awaits you at Sports and Social Maryland. See how we're raising the sports bar with our massive 100-foot media wall featuring 40 HD TVs and a 47-foot big screen. Bet on your favorite teams and this year's biggest events at the FanDuel Sportsbook while enjoying your favorite beers and cocktails, plus our delicious takes on bar food classics. Visit Sports and Social at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland at Arundel Mills. Must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Discover one of Baltimore's hidden gems at Guilford Hall Brewery. Enjoy dinner in our spacious brew pub, sip a signature cocktail in our outdoor, dog-friendly beer garden, or take a tour of our brewery. Discover your new favorite local craft beer. From crisp lagers to hoppy ales, there's something for everyone to enjoy. Pair your brew with delicious appetizers and entrees. There are options for the whole family, but you have to try our fan favorite giant pretzel. Guilford Hall Brewery, where every sip is a celebration. Visit us online at guilfordhall.com.
The latest edition of Pressbox is available now, and on the cover we look at the promise of spring for the Baltimore Orioles as Todd Karpovich and others shine the light on the team's hopes to take the next step towards championship contention and what reinforcements could still be coming. Plus, Pressbox personalities offer suggestions to David Rubenstein about stewarding the franchise. Also inside, Bo Smolka on how the Ravens defense could evolve with new coordinator Zach Orr. And we meet lacrosse players from the men's and women's programs across the state. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores. And you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we are winding down for a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. Today's show has also been brought to you, or just a reminder that Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson get together every Monday talking baseball. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. If you miss it live, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. And then Stan and Eric Garfield, usually on Thursdays. I'm going to guess they're going to move their show this week, but I haven't gotten an email yet about when they're moving it to, because maybe they're waiting to confirm that the baseball game's actually going to happen tomorrow. It's like the entire city is on hold. Like, we're all just, like, waiting. Tell us what we're doing. It's difficult. I understand the difficulty. And also, a lot of people brought up that it's unique this year perhaps because Friday is Good Friday. It doesn't register with me. I'm not even sure, like, what does that mean? What do people do on Good? Do people go to church on Good Friday? I'm sorry. I am not the person to ask this question to. Even when I was brought up in a religious family, I don't remember there being, like, something in particular that we did on Good Friday. I don't remember. But I've had people bring that up to me, like, hey, you don't want to move it to Friday because that's Good Friday. I'm like, right, but what? Can it be a Good Friday at a baseball game? Like, I don't.
Some people fast apparently or abstain from meat. So
you can't do that at a baseball game. Well, nobody. It's every Friday during Lent they don't eat meat.
They don't.
That's not unique to Good Friday. That's why. Do you really not know that? Like, that's why everybody serves their fish sandwiches. Like, when I talk about.
I know I don't know that.
When I talk about the hot fish sandwich at Glory Days that's because people during Lent.
Very unreligious.
I understand that, but like, you don't notice how much promotion there is of fish from like.
Well, people just like fish around here.
No,
or everywhere.
You've never noticed that, like,
Fish is
this is wild to me. That every fast food, like, establishment markets their fish sandwiches in February and March and sometimes into April. You've never noticed that.
Nope. I just.
Well, you are really living in your own world, man. Like,
it's a great world, honestly.
Griffin's just like, whatever, like, la-di-da. That is wild, Jack.
I apologize to everyone. I should have known.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing here.
I mean, I got nothing too.
It's definitely that's not unique. That's why I don't understand why it couldn't be on Good Friday. Like, I don't get why that would be such a pushback. Like, do a lot of people go to church on Good Friday that I just don't know about because I'm not Catholic? Like, maybe I should have asked Drew this question while he was here.
You can call him back.
No, it was just a really weird bit. Like, I was bringing that up, and they were like, well, they might not want to move it to Friday this year because it happens to be Good Friday. And, like, immediately I said back, oh, right, yeah, because I'm pretending like I think that makes sense. And then I walk away for 2. I'm like, well, but they play a baseball game on Easter. Isn't Easter a bigger day than Good Friday? If they can play on Easter, I'm lost, man. I'm hopelessly lost on this. I don't get. Sunday is Easter. They're playing baseball, to my knowledge. They're not canceling that game. They're not moving it to another day. I would think they could play on Good Friday, but I know they don't want to move games. They want to play them, and we're going to criticize them no matter what. Like, last year, they moved the game, it doesn't rain, and everybody's furious. So now that's what they're thinking about. Like, well, if we move the game and it doesn't rain again, I don't know, man. I don't have an answer for you. But I hope they play a baseball game tomorrow. I'm trying to think if there's anything we haven't covered. Oh, by the way, also pick up that print issue of Press Box. It's still available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms as you get ready. A few of you happen to notice that we got some billboards now downtown.
Oh, we do?
Well, not the one. That one hasn't started yet.
Oh, okay.
That one I think starts on Friday. Yeah, we did a very special billboard that you're going to notice downtown. I maybe should have apologized to the police commissioner because it might cause
that's going to cause a lot of issues.
Might cause some problems. There's going to be a very sexy billboard coming downtown.
Is that what they're calling it?
I think that's what they're calling it. And I will have to apologize if it leads to accidents, issues.
You'll be held accountable?
I might. Boy, it might not be the last time I meet with the commissioner. We're going to do something. If you see my stupid face on a billboard in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, right.
If you see
Your
it,
face.
if you see it, I want you to snap a picture. Don't be reckless with it. If you're driving, it ain't worth it. But if you happen to be walking around and you notice it, or if you're at a stoplight and you see it, if you're not driving, if you're in the passenger seat and you see it, if you have somebody in your passenger seat that can take a picture, whether it's me or anything Pressbox related, and then tweet it to me at Glenn Clark Radio. And someone who does will do a contest, and we'll give someone $200 worth of Ruth's Chris gift cards.
Whoa.
Yeah, $200 to Ruth's Chris.
Yeah,
you might want to start wandering around downtown. I don't know what the rules are because I'm creating this contest. Yeah, $200 for the Ruth's Chris gift cards.
Yeah, PFF Sean's going to be seeing this.
Oh, he's all in on this. Well, I wouldn't blame PFF Sean. Who wouldn't want $200 in Ruth Chris gift cards? He's going to camp out downtown for the next couple of. I don't actually even know where all of the billboards are going to be, so I can't help you. I can't help you cheat in this process. I don't know where they're running, but in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing more press box and more Glenn Clark's dumb face. And if you happen to notice any of those things, snap a picture. Again, do it safely. Don't do it while you're driving. Snap a picture. Tweet me at Glenn Clark Radio, GLENNCLARK, at Glenn Clark Radio, with that picture. And you'll be registered to win. Everyone who gets a picture in will be registered to win. We'll pull a name out. I don't know, maybe around tax day, somewhere like that. We'll pull a name out. I'm doing this on the fly.
Should I be writing these rules down?
Whatever. We'll figure it out. This is my thing. This is not a company thing. This is my thing. So I don't know that I have to have rules. I don't know what the situation is here. I'm saying take a picture, send it to me. Everybody who sends it in, we'll register everybody, and we'll pull a name out, and one person will win a $200 gift card to Ruth's Chris. And, of course, whether you're celebrating a special milestone, entertaining clients, or simply enjoying a night out, count on Ruth's Chris to deliver to you the finest steaks, the best service, and a level of hospitality that has made Ruth's Chris one of the most revered names in steak since 1965. Make your reservation now at ruthschris.com. Yep, going to be seeing those billboards. I think you'll enjoy them. I think this up until Friday they're more generic. I think the one yesterday was just like a 12-year-old picture of me. We did headshots when I started at Pressbox in 2014, and I'm pretty sure we still use those headshots to this day. I have aged. I was 30. Life was good. I believe technically at that point my first child had not been born yet. I was not dealing with that stress in my life. I had just been freed from the burden of the former radio station that doesn't exist anymore. Oh, life was good. It wasn't just that I wasn't working 10 jobs. I frankly wasn't working one when those headshots were taken because I wasn't even an official employee here at Pressbox yet. Life was so good. I love my kids. Life was so good.
Yeah.
Maybe we stick it out with that headshot. Maybe we never update it. Be 67 years old, and they're still using my head chef from when I was 30. But yeah, you're gonna be seeing some more fun billboards. These digital billboards that like change and the videos involved, the whole thing. You'll be noticing them, and when you do, snap a picture, and you could be a winner. All right. Anything we didn't get to today that we needed to?
I guess not.
All right. Well, you're the one who follows sports, so that's why I ask you. If
Let's
you don't
see,
have
NIT
anything-
was
again, we said
yesterday.
to pick up the print issue at your neighborhood Royal Farms.
Yes.
And the hundreds of locations downtown where you find it. Around town. They're not all downtown. Around town where you find it. Yeah, nobody cares about that, so we don't need to
Georgia
cover
beat
it.
Ohio State. That was
No
kind
one
of ridiculous,
cares.
honestly. It was
No
kinda ruined my night.
Oh, yeah? How much you bet on that?
About like $10.
Why? It's the
Because of
NIT.
the Ohio State. It's better than Georgia.
Yeah? Were
At
they?
least I thought. At least I thought.
Sure.
Embarrassing for Ohio State.
I would say
Good thing
embarrassing.
They hired
for
that guy.
You bet the NIT. Who should be embarrassed?
Nothing else on.
I mean, the NBA was playing. Like there were other things that were
Is
on.
it April yet? Yeah, I can't watch the NBA.
I'm so it's funny. I was talking to Rita last night on the show. I'm like, maybe I have to watch the UFL to see what this kickoff looks like, and then I find out that like the UFL is using a different kickoff thing where they're like.
Well, that
kicking
guy
off-
was angry, right? That because they essentially ripped off.
Well, the guys with Sam Schwartzstein is his name, who invented this kickoff that the NFL is going to use, but they're using a variation of it. They're not using the exact XFL kickoff.
And the NFL saying like, well, this is a practice drill that we've like always done,
and
so
then
it's ours.
And then I don't know how that works, by the way. Like, what do you want, guy?
Should have trademarked it, I guess.
I mean, this is all due respect. It's football. Like the guy that invented the flea flicker, I don't think was given $1 billion for it. Like, what do you want? And I'm sure his answer is, well, I would like a job. I don't know. Like, I think he works for Amazon. I don't know what to tell you. Like, did you patent it? Like, did you take it to the patent office? Did you? I don't know. I really don't know what to say. They are, I think, in the UFL, moving it further back. Like, they're having the kickoff from the 20 or something, because they don't want teams to still decide. So one of the problems with this kickoff is that the penalty for a touchback is only 5 more yards. Like, it's only the 30-yard line. So our team's ultimately going to say, look, we're just still going to have our kicker boot the ball through the end zone because it's not worth it to us to have to go down and make a play and hope that we don't give up a big it's just 5 yards. Let's live with it. 30-yard line, fine. We'll start drives there. It'll be interesting to see what teams do, but I think that's one of the things they're now testing in this UFL is if we back the kick up, does it force, like take touchbacks out of play altogether? Force action on the kickoffs. I don't care enough about kickoffs to care about this. We all have romantic feelings in Baltimore about Jermaine Lewis and Jacoby Jones, and that's all well and good. But, I mean, the best way I can say it, those aren't fantasy football players. And so football on the whole, we'd rather the people that we play with in fantasy football be the ones that do things than the returners. They are more concerned about action on kickoffs than I am. I'm not concerned about it. This feels forced and convoluted to me. It's interesting, and I do think there's a lot of elements that are. I was talking with Jamie Sharper, the former Ravens linebacker. He was the special teams coordinator of the DC Defenders. So Jamie and I were talking about it last night, and Jamie was like, well, you're going to have to reconsider who makes your roster moving forward because you don't necessarily need speedsters any longer in special teams. So, that 6th wide receiver that would be on the team for special teams, you now need, leverage guys because it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a wrestling match. It's not going to be blaze down the field and tackle somebody. It's now you guys are standing 5 yards. It's almost like you need linemen. And he suggests it's more like you need outside linebackers. You need Adalius Thomas types.
Long snapper types.
I don't think long snappers, no. I still think it's like
that
you need
build, though.
Tight end, outside linebacker types is what he thinks is going to ultimately be best because you still need to be able to move after you win your bat. It is fascinating to me because it's going to change roster construction in the NFL for sure, in ways that we can't think about today because we're just not there yet. But
and I wonder how far we are, I guess, just from completely removing the kickoff. And I guess that's the reason for this, is they don't want to
right,
get
they don't
rid
want
of
to
it.
remove it, but somebody's going to say, hey, if there's no action on it, why do we do it? I would still say because it's part of the – you still have to go do it. When somebody said, only 23% of kickoffs were
Everyone keeps referring to the number. There were 13 kicks, 13 touchbacks in the Super Bowl, and everyone keeps referring to that as see, this is why it's a problem.
Did any of us think about that at all?
No.
Did that thought ever cross your mind, how many touchbacks there were in the Super Bowl?
Unless you bet on it, yeah.
And this is, look, they were hell-bent on changing the extra point. All of this comes down to television. The people on TV don't want you to get a heads up that the commercials are coming. They want you to have to stay all the way up until the commercial. And what the extra point had become in the NFL was
go run to the bathroom.
A warning, commercials coming. Get out of the room, go to the kitchen, go, take a leak, whatever it is that you need to do. And you can start doing that now because you know they're going to make the extra point, so you don't need to watch it, and now you can beat the commercials. So the network partners say that's a problem for us. You need to make the extra points more compelling so that people have to stay through the extra point. They don't get a heads up. So the NFL says, all right, well, we'll force the extra points back. It's contrived. There's no need for it. None of us care. I don't even know that I would tell you that yes, there is an occasional extra point that gets missed. But do any of us feel the need to stay to watch the extra point, even though some of them are being missed every now and then now? They have to do everything to entice action because that's what the people that are paying all the money to broadcast the games want. Better make sure you're back in time for the kickoff. Although, doesn't the kickoff normally end up happening before the timeout now? Haven't we changed it? So it's now... No, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Why can't I remember?
I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix of when it happens.
It's weird because football...
You've got to be back in time to make sure you watch the kickoff. So you can't stay in the, hey, all good, I'll stay in the kitchen. You got to make it quick. If you're ducking out of the room, you better make it quick. And so you now might catch the last commercial of the commercial break because you feel the need to be back in time for the kickoff. That's what they want. They don't want there to be plays that you feel are extended parts of a commercial break. I don't care enough about that. I just don't. No actual football fan wants this. The only people that want it are the league on behalf of their partners. Selling me about how important it is to be a part of the game falls flat every time. Who gives a rat's ass? You can't get me to care. You just can't. You want me to. You desperately want me to care. Come back. Make sure you're here for the kickoff because there's a chance there might be a touchdown. I hear you. I guess what I would say is there's not going to be enough of them that I'm going to be hell-bent in changing the way, and we'll see it on Twitter in 10 seconds. If we miss it,
someone's be like, "Oh my gosh!"
Twitter will show it
Did
to
you
us.
see this?
Yeah, right. Life will go on. All right, let's get a tidbit. Tidbit is brought to you today by. This one's brought to you by Goose Flights. Love Goose Flights. It's delicious. It's available all over town. $1.98 from every can sold goes to benefit the Goose Flights Foundation. Goose Flights is. It's such a wonderful beer. We love what the Goose Flights Foundation is doing to provide non-emergency medical transport for those in need and to help continue the legacy of Tony Siragusa. Check out PressBoxOnline.com/GooseFlights in order to learn more.
Garrett Crochet of the Chicago White Sox.
If you say so.
He was announced their opening day starter. This was actually last week.
I've never heard of him.
I think he's supposed to be pretty good.
If you say so.
He's got a cool high leg kick. So he will be their opening day starter tomorrow. And it will be his Major League Baseball debut as well. So in the last 110 years, this comes from Sarah Langs, he will be the 9th pitcher to make his first career start on opening day.
Well, how about that?
Yes. He joins There's only really one guy on this list that has any notable, but there's some fun names, so I wanted to.
Oh, okay. Old Hoss Radborn.
No. Lefty Grove in 1925.
Okay. There's a old time. Do we ever start doing these?
Yeah, I do have to talk to you. In 2014, Tanner Scheppers.
What are we doing?
Do we ever remember him?
It doesn't.
Tanner Scheppers. Fernando Valenzuela.
Okay. It's very significant. Fernando Mania.
1944. Preacher Rowe.
No.
Preacher Rowe. Red
No.
Evans in 1939.
Nope.
Jim Bagby.
Keep walking.
Eddie Ayers.
Keep walking.
That is the list that Garrett
Okay.
Crochet now joins.
Fernando Valenzuela. That's what I got for you.
Okay. All right. DeMontis Sabonis. Actually, no, I wanted to do it. Maybe it would have only worked if Drew were still here. But, yeah, go ahead and give me the opening days tomorrow. The 2008 opening day lineup.
Oh, for the Orioles?
Yes.
2008. Okay.
And then how many of the Rays you can name as well.
Oh, for God's sakes. None.
This is the good Rays. This was the Rays team that
they
went to the World Series. Yeah.
I thought they were the year after that they went to the World Series.
No, yeah, it was 08.
You sure it wasn't
Yeah,
09?
I think they won the division in 08.
I'm skeptical. I'm not going to lie. I'm skeptical of your claims.
Oh, wait, yeah, I think. Wait, let me. What was it? 07 was the Red Sox. 08. Oh, it was 08 Phillies Yankees. Or was that 09?
No, that might have been 09. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it was
Okay, yes.
Phillies, and
All
so
right,
maybe
good.
it was the Rays in 08. I don't know. All right, you might be right.
Yeah. Of course
You
I'm
might have
right.
lucked it. No, yeah, of course. That's
Course.
nonsense. All right, so Adam had just been acquired.
Never wrong.
So I
correct.
assume he was
he was batting in the lineup where?
I'm going to guess lower in the lineup because he had just been acquired.
Yes.
7th?
8th.
8th.
Was starting center fielder, though.
Sure. 08. Nick Markakis.
Nick Markakis was in the lineup batting.
3rd.
He was batting 3rd, playing right field.
Brian Roberts.
Brian Roberts was batting
1st.
playing second base. They had a second baseman back then.
What a thought. All right, so now it gets tougher.
Yeah, I guess a little bit.
Was Luke Scott in the lineup?
Luke Scott was indeed in the lineup. He was batting right ahead of Adam Jones, playing left field, batting 7th.
Okay. All right. We're cooking. We're cooking. Who in the hell would have been the catcher for that team? Hey.
He was batting ahead of Luke Scott, batting 6th. Catcher.
It wasn't still Ramon Hernandez.
It was
gone.
in fact.
He was still there in
Ramon
08?
Hernandez, yes.
He was gone by then. All right.
That was his final season with the Orioles.
So, ay.
Yeah.
How about, was Melvin Mora?
Yes, Melvin Mora
Okay.
was the starting third baseman, batting 2nd.
Okay.
Behind Brian Roberts, ahead of Nick Markakis. So we have 6 here. Good luck with the shortstop.
Brendan Fahey.
No, but he did have a plate appearance.
Did he
later in
really?
the game.
Son of a bitch. Freddie Boom Boom Bynum.
No, not Freddie Bynum. Might have been on. I don't know if he was on the roster, but he did not play.
All right, I'm going to try something else. What am I missing? I'm missing a first baseman, right?
You are missing a first baseman,
And
the
a
shortstop, the DH.
First baseman.
The DH. Ew.
Aubrey Huff.
Aubrey Huff was
Aubrey Huff,
DHing,
yeah.
batting 5th.
First baseman in 08. 08.
And did he?
Oh, is that Kevin Millar?
It was Kevin Millar, the opening day first baseman.
Gross and gross. I mean, Aubrey Huff far grosser than Kevin. I'll never get over Kevin Millar being on the Orioles roster and doing a hype video for the Red Sox in the World Series. I'll never be over that.
The starting shortstop only played 36 games, had 90 plate appearances in 2008.
We could be here all day.
He played for the Royals in 09. Again, 80 plate appearances, 40 plate appearances in 2010 with the Mets.
I got nothing.
The great Luis Hernandez.
I still don't remember who
You
that
don't know
is.
who that
I
is?
still don't remember who that is.
If you don't know who he is.
That doesn't ring a bell at all.
He was
for
batting
me.
9th, starting shortstop. The opening day pitcher in 2008.
Guthrie?
It was Jeremy
Okay.
Guthrie. And then for the Rays.
Oh, for God's sakes, what are we doing? All right, the Rays.
On the mound.
David Price?
No, not David Price.
Shields?
Yes.
Okay.
Big Game James. Played with a kid named James, and we
Are
always
we,
called
are
him Big
we,
Game
are we
James.
really going to do this game? Carl Crawford?
Carl
was in
Crawford
one?
was batting second behind the second baseman, who was Iwamura.
Oh, I vaguely remember that.
Akinori Iwamura.
Yeah, vaguely.
First baseman. Now on MLB Network all the time.
First baseman now on MLB Network. Oh, Carlos Pena.
Carlos
Yeah,
Pena.
Carlos Pena.
Tossed me a baseball.
How about that?
One time
Look at
when I was
that.
a kid.
Look at
back
that.
before we had the netting up.
Well, right, yeah.
All the way down the baseline. Center field.
And it wasn't.
Had a brother in the league.
Oh,
And then
Upton.
Yes.
B.J. Upton?
B.J.
Yeah.
Upton. I guess this was
Yeah,
before he
wouldn't-
changed his name back to Melvin.
Melvin, yeah.
The designated hitter, also on MLB Network now.
Also on MLB Network now. A designated hitter. Wasn't Mark Loretta.
Does he have Peacock now, too, a little bit?
Wasn't.
Is that what he's doing? I know he's on MLB Network.
Oh, Cliff Floyd.
Cliff Floyd was the DH.
I don't remember him being
for
a
the
Ray.
Yeah.
I don't.
Third baseman was Willie Ibar.
Sure.
Eric Hinsky in right field.
I didn't know Eric Hinsky played for the Rays.
The catcher was Diana Navarro.
Okay.
And their shortstop, Jason Bartlett.
Sure.
Team
That
playing
would've
the World
been
Series,
bad.
represent the American League in
That
the
would
World
have been
Series.
bad. All right, very good. Tidbit was also brought to you today by.
And Drew remembers every pitch of that game.
Why? Superbook.com. Download the Superbook app. For opening day, Orioles are favorites at -180. The total is set at 7.5. You think there's going to be 8 runs scored in a Corbin Burns game? Well, it could be all scored by the Orioles against Patrick Sandoval. Piss. I don't know how to bet the 7.5 number. Orioles could
It's
score.
going to be a little sloppy potentially.
Potentially.
the weather. But
It's a low number, though.
yeah,
It's a
like
low
all it
number.
takes is, a couple big hits.
I don't know
with
what
guys
to do
on
with
base.
that. I don't feel comfortable about it. I like betting the Orioles. Everything's run line is -1.5 for everything. So I like betting the Orioles on that.
What's their money line?
Plus, the money line is -180.
Oh, that's
The run line they are plus
not
115.
a terrible price to
So you
pay.
get plus money on them to win by 2 runs.
Hmm.
I think I like that. Although the bullpen scares me.
Exactly. It's
Scares
like,
me.
yeah, but then it's like if they're gonna win,
Right,
you think
like-
like it'll be because they don't have to. They're not, it's not getting hairy at the end.
I think I'm going to bet it. I think I'm going to do it just for funsies. You can do it at Superbook. Download the Superbook app. Use the code GlennClark23. When you sign up, you'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Tubular is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Of course, proud sponsors of County Sports Zone. CountySports.zone is the website for County Sports Zone. All of the updates, local high school sports in the spring, lacrosse, baseball, softball, all of it at CountySports.zone, presented by your local Toyota dealer. It's what it is. There is lacrosse. Maryland women host Penn at 6 on Big Ten Network. Mount St. Mary's in action right now. Would they fire you after one game?
I guess.
Man.
I don't think I got fired.
Rough. They won that game. Think they'd want you around. They take on VMI right now on ESPN Plus. And tonight, Stevenson's got Elizabethtown at 7 on GoMustangSports.tv. Nets Wizards. Break up the Wizards. They've won a couple of games recently.
What are they doing?
Yeah, it's the worst. It is the worst. Apparently, Ben from the radio station is a Wizards fan. I'm like, yeah, it's like nice to meet one.
What choice does he have?
Not be a Wizards fan?
Not follow the NBA?
No, follow anything. Why would you be a Wizards fan?
Because you can watch their games.
You can it's the NBA. There's plenty of games on.
I mean, I'm not buying League Pass.
Okay. You don't have. There's national games on every night.
Yeah, so
every
what? I'm gonna
night.
be a Celtics fan? Like
You have as much association with that as you do Washington D.C.
My options are, Wizards or be
No,
a
your
Sixers and
your
a
options are
Celtics
every
fan,
team.
'cause
There's every
no.
team.
What am I gonna do? Watch them?
If you'd like.
I can't.
Are you choosing to watch the Wizards?
I mean,
Seek
typically,
help.
if I'm like, oh, I kind of want to watch the NBA. What's on? Oh, yeah, well, the Wizards are on because
Nets
we
Wizards,
can watch them.
7 o'clock on Monumental.
That's the channel we get.
I would prefer to watch ESPN tonight as Clippers Sixers at 7:30 and Suns Nuggets at 10. Anything there sounds like a better option to me. TNT Bruins Lightning 7:30. The CBI Championship throughout all the records when High Point and Seattle get together today at 5 o'clock on ESPN2. Then UNLV Seton Hall, VCU Utah, and the NIT. ATP and WTA Miami Open continues on the Tennis Channel. TBS for AEW Dynamite at 8. Some non-sports highlights?
No, not a whole lot. Survivor, of course. Liam Neeson will be on Stephen Colbert because of the Naked Gun movie is coming out.
What?
Yeah, next year.
I don't know anything about that.
That's at least that was what I could. That was the only thing I could find going on recently with Liam Neeson. So
okay.
Top Chef on Bravo. Yeah, there's not a whole lot. New episode of The Bad Batch on Disney Plus, as well as X-Men '97, which LeBron James is apparently big into. X-Men '97 on Disney Plus. Yeah, that's
okay.
These are your highlights.
Okay, very good. Go
week.
find that at glennclarkradio.com. Tubular was also brought to you by the Green Turtle. Telling you that tomorrow at the Green Turtle.
Free $10 bets tomorrow and every Thursday at the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton. You can use it on whatever you would like, so go there and experience the ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. So check out the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks, Towson, Canton. Get your free bet, free $10 bet. Make some money while enjoying some food and some sports tomorrow at the Turtle.
Tomorrow, we do the thank yous, and we'll talk about tomorrow. Thanks today to Drew Forrester. Thanks to Police Commissioner Richard Worley. And thanks to Randolph Childress. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God, it's so good.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. I'd love to start the show early tomorrow. Go enjoy the festivities. I guess we need to wait to make sure the game's happening tomorrow first before we decide that.
When are they going to?
That's the part of the problem. I would just say stay tuned. Stay tuned. The time of tomorrow's show could change. Stay tuned. That's what I would tell you. Do we have anything on the show tomorrow?
Stuff and things.
Oh, God. This is new. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Glenn Clark Radio and you have something interesting to say, we're struggling. So please reach out. GlennClarkRadio@gmail.com. Be ever so appreciated.
Oh, man.
What?
Well, because earlier I saw the rain was going to, it might have subsided by 1 or 12 or 1. Now it's back to 3. So.
Yeah, but the game's, I don't know what to do with any of that. All right. If you happen to be good at booking guests and you'd like to be involved, and we'd accept payment and handshakes, reach out, GlennClarkRadio@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Ruth's Chris, Live Casino and Hotel, Atman's Deli, A.J. Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Superbook Sports, Glory Days Grill, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go no one. Duke sucks. Go local lacrosse team. Sorry, Maryland women mount Stevenson lacrosse. My bad. Duke still sucks.